Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Bullpen. It's Sunday night. I've got Comics Division with me here, and we should be joined by Keri shortly. But Chad is on assignment, so yes, so we're a little bit more laid back. It was an Avs game day during the Stanley Cup playoffs, so you don't get Brahma in the smoking jacket tonight. You get Brahma in the same colors, the same burgundy and blue as the smoking jacket, but no smoking jacket. Did you take yourself out, or did it kick you out?
I no
There you are.
idea what did that.
I don't know.
I don't have controls like you do.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is my studio, not yours.
Yeah.
Although I have control in your studio.
That's rather unfair.
So, yeah, tonight it'll be, I think, the topics everybody knows we're going to be going over for the most part. But yeah, we'll talk about a little bit of the SPLC. And then, of course, we will discuss what took place last night at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So, but we'll kill a little time, let Keri get here. So, got a story to tell of how the weekend went, because it was not a great weekend. Comix has seen the video from my neighbor's Ring camera or Nest camera, but
so I thought it was from your Ring camera. Okay.
Nope. I'm the two people who walk out at the end are me and the wife going to check to see what happened, because it sounded like a nuclear explosion in the neighborhood.
Hey, look at that. Chad's in the chat.
Lil Chad using his membership. Chat says, of course, this is the week I'm on vacation. Every time you go on vacation, something crazy happens.
Yeah.
So,
bummer.
Yeah, we had a garage sale yesterday, getting rid of some of the mother-in-law's stuff, you know, just trying to clear out the house a little bit. So the wife's doing the garage sale. I'm hanging out in my usual office on the other side of the garage door. But we had moved the cars so that there was places for people to park for the garage sale. So I put it out on the side of my house, my Jeep. So it's still on a curb in the neighborhood, you know, parked normally, parked the right direction, everything. So we're getting ready to wrap up the day. And at about 2:45, we hear this gigantic thundering boom. Somebody had turned around the corner. She was apparently looking at the items in the garage sale while she was making the turn.
Oh my God,
and drove directly into the back corner of my truck.
Oh, man.
So the Jeep has a crumpled bed. Her car's totaled because I've got an aftermarket steel bumper. So here's the funny part. Not going to reveal who's in anybody's names or anything, but we're talking to him, and like, she speaks English. The brother that comes over speaks English. It's owned by her abuela, so the grandmother comes over. But the girl, apparently what was going on was she had taken the car to get it washed because last night was prom, and she was getting the car cleaned and vacuumed out before prom. So coming back from that, she completely totals the car. Of course, it's not going to prom because prom was about 30 minutes away. Her brother was like, I'm not taking her and then going back and picking her up.
Oh, her man.
Problem. He was like, there'll be a college, whatever. So she had a bad day too.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
The tow truck it was supposed to take 45 minutes to an hour to get there to pull her car out of my car. So I couldn't move anything because they were like interlaced. But the tow truck has not come after 3 hours. So a cop gets a call into the neighborhood on a completely unrelated domestic violence type thing. But they see the two cars sitting there, and they're like, they get out and they're like, what the hell is going on? So I see that they're out there. I go over and talk to them, tell them what happened. And they're like, and you guys just left the cars here? I was like, it's on my property, technically. I mean, it's on my fence line, parked. It just happens to have some idiot's car wrapped into it. I can't do anything about that. I'm going to sit in my garage and wait on you guys. We didn't call the cops because 18-year-old girl, it was an accident. Insurance is going to take care of crap. I don't need her insurance rates skyrocketing because I was a dick and wanted her to get a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not that big a deal. I mean, I'm in insurance, so I am pretty used to dealing with stuff like this where, you know, somebody made a mistake. It sucks. Nobody was hurt. And I wasn't even in the car. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how yesterday went. Today went better. The Avs won, swept their series. So we get like a week off. So that's going to be nice.
I had a kind of a similar experience. I mean, my car wasn't parked, but there was like this, I stopped at Bill Miller's. For those of you in Texas are familiar with the chain Bill Miller's, it's barbecue. And I was driving back. This is actually the day of the rise of Palpatine. So I'm like, I ended up being, I think like 5-10 minutes late to the show. But this girl pulls out of the neighborhood. I'm basically, I have the right of way. I'm on the main road. This girl pulls out and I start slowing down because I get this feeling she's going to not see me and pull out. And she does. I slam on my brakes and, you know, I have a Jeep like yourself. At the time I didn't have the aftermarket bumper, but I wreck her car. I mean, it screws my bumper up pretty good. But it just like wrecks her car. And like across the street on the other side is like this body shop. And these guys come running up. He's like, and they're like, dude, did you not see her? It's like, yes, I saw her. She pulled out in front of me. I have the right of way. It's like, why are you trying to blame me?
She's turning. That's
she
my right of way.
To turn. Yeah. So that was kind of annoying, but it's like I saw her. I slowed down because I knew she was going to pull out in front of me like a moron. And, you know, but it was like literally like 20 feet away when she did it. I just didn't have the time to stop. You know, I slammed on my brakes. The thing is, if she gunned it, she would have been fine, but she stopped.
She freaked out.
Yeah. And I hit her at that point. So,
yeah, that's why I stopped riding the bike because too many people turned in front of me.
That's never good.
My motorcycle, it was just started happening way too often. People just weren't paying attention. And I was like, I'll keep it and I'll go ride it out east in the middle of nowhere, but not in city anymore.
Yeah, that's
and
smart.
Definitely not on the highway because I-25 has this tendency to go from we're going 85, 90 to everybody slams on their brakes at the exact same time.
Oh my God.
So on the bike, you cannot stop on a dime like that.
No.
You go over the handlebars when you do that. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think the steel bumper actually did all of the damage because it crushed her car. And on my car, the whole bed just creased where it pushed back.
Is your bumper fine?
Bumper's fine. Got a couple scratches.
Yeah.
But bumper's fine. So
what'd you get? Did you get the Peterbilt bumper?
No, I can't remember which brand it is. But it is just a solid piece of steel bumper.
Yeah.
With a hitch.
I replaced both my bumpers with I think they're both Peterbilt like steel bumpers. I mean, I swear to God, they're like iron, not really steel, but they're probably just steel. But yeah, it's those things are massive. I feel bad for anybody who either rear ends me or I hit.
Yeah, and then I've got the guard out front with more steel, and then like, I mean, my Jeep has a ton of aftermarket stuff. The guy that I got it from, he had already done all the work on it, so I got it completely souped up already. But it was kind of sad. I looked in the car afterwards, and all the rubber ducks had gone flying everywhere from the collision. So,
not the rubber ducks.
Yeah, the Jeep thing.
Yeah,
they leave them on the car. I'll keep them in there because the kids like it. So
yeah, that was one thing when the first time that happened to me, I wasn't aware of like the whole thing with Jeep culture and rubber ducks, and I come back from the store. I go to the store. I'm walking back to my Jeep. I see a rubber duck on there. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
On the handle?
Yeah. It just really weirded me out.
We've got, it's Colorado. Everybody's got a freaking Jeep. So there's Jeeps with like 2 full rows of ducks in the front windshield. I only keep like three or 4 because my granddaughter's a big fan of rubber ducks. So she can have the excess. I keep the ones that squeak. So when the sun heats them up, they turn to like putty and you can squeak them in different tunes. So
that's pretty funny.
So I know you're caught up on the SPLC stuff. So Maybe we start there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whole situation, man. Oh, dude, there's a lot of fucking cope coming from the left right now. Oh, in regards to the SPLC, it's a lot of they're just paying informants by hiding the money and not being transparent. It's like what they've done technically, whether it is paying informants or paying the Klan to keep racism alive in this country, technically is not illegal. What is illegal is how they did it, which is basically trying to obfuscate the fact that they were doing this because they are a nonprofit. And yeah, you have to basically let people know what you're spending your money on. And they hid it for obvious reasons.
You must tell the donors with transparency who their donations are going to.
And apparently it was going to the Klan and the National Socialist Party of the United States.
Yes. Otherwise known as the Democrats.
Yeah.
But it's all right-wing extremism. So, I mean, the biggest takeaway for me from this is
everything's
we
fake.
have so little white supremacy in this country that they had to manufacture it to keep it going.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole reason they're doing this, is to have a boogeyman to keep fighting against. That way they can keep raising donations from.
Yeah.
So,
well, they made a lot of money off Charlottesville. They made like 81 million.
Like 30 million. Yeah.
No, it was 81 million off Charlottesville.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fucking money. And the thing that's crazy about it is that they literally had a guy there that, you know, they basically told him what to do. He actually picked up people and drove them places, like to the protest and whatnot. So, I mean, it's not like it was like an informant that was just informing. He was posting racist things under basically the wherewithal of the SPLC. They were basically telling him what to do.
Yeah.
So to say that this is just, it's just informants is a fucking lie. And
right. It's almost as crazy as Ilhan Omar saying, oh, well, we just accidentally had the wrong numbers on our tax return. And then her winery closing the next day and disappearing. And her amount of money dropping from, what was it, 90 million down to like 90,000 or 190,000 for tax purposes. Oh yeah, they changed all the paperwork and said it was her accountant made an error.
I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
But the thing about it, this is one of the things that we've talked about when it comes to these organizations and ideologies. It's like you have to keep the grift going because if these organizations, these charities were like, okay, we mission accomplished, we're closing our doors. We ended racism, or it's so minute now that there's no need for us anymore. That'd be one thing. Your other option is going, well, we need to manufacture or basically pivot to keep our doors open and keep the funds coming in, because that's what it's about. It's about making money. It's not about the cause. It's not about fighting injustice of whatever form you want. Pick your poison, I suppose. It is about them making money. And they made, like I said, a shitload of money off of Charlottesville, 81 million. And like one dude, I guess over the course of like 10 years, they paid $1 million too.
Yeah,
which is pretty crazy. Yeah, it must be nice. Yeah.
I mean, all we had to do is come out as white supremacists and we get paid by the left.
Well, the funny thing is there's a lot of speculation that, and again, this is not confirmed unless there's new information that came out, that Nick Fuentes was on their payroll.
Yeah, there's a few that I would suspect were probably either directly or indirectly getting paid through there.
Yeah.
But the ones who the government went after, well, Canadian government in this case, was Tenet Media.
Right. Yeah.
Who, it's not illegal to take funds from other countries as investment. I mean, there's nothing that says that anybody at Tenet was changing what they were saying based on money coming in.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. But
this was actively taking the money to foment,
right?
Racism.
And that's the damning thing, right? And of course, the SPLC basically had a response, and they're basically saying, oh, well, it's the Trump administration going after us, and it just shows you what side these people are on. It's like, this is the Trump administration. This is a grand jury, okay? That's the big thing. A grand jury basically said, yeah, this is credible. What's up, Sax?
It is the grand jury, but the grand jury gets things wrong too, because it was a grand jury that was bringing indictments against Trump.
Fair.
So
that's fair.
I mean, it's just another thing that we don't necessarily have full faith in anymore.
Right.
Like the media.
Mm.
But I mean, the grand jury thing, that one can be pushed aside pretty easy with that excuse, because it's like, well, the grand jury can't be good when it's going after the left, but not good when it's going after the right. The grand jury needs to be brought back to being, you know, indifferent.
Right. And that's how it should be. And yeah.
But they also say the DOJ should be indifferent. And no, the DOJ has always been a wing of whatever president is in the office.
Yeah.
For the longest time now.
Well, I think the issue, the days of bipartisanship are fucking over at this point.
Oh yeah, they're gone.
There's no going back at this point, I think.
We couldn't even get any bipartisanship last night after another attempted assassination.
Yeah.
It's, well, this is a problem on both sides. Both sides need to tone down the rhetoric. And it's like, no, one side has tried to assassinate a guy 3 times. And we'll get into it when we get on that topic.
Yeah. The
but
thing
it's
is
all interconnected.
Yeah. The vast majority of it is coming from the left right now. That's the thing. And that's the thing they don't want to admit. Right.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is interesting is, you know, donors to the SPLC, they may have thought that they were doing something good.
Yeah.
But people like George Clooney and the other Hollywood elites that have been, you know, so proud of working with the SPLC, making massive donations every year,
right,
and going out and telling everybody about it. You would think when this news broke that they would back off a little bit or say, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah. Are they doubling down?
No, they're staying dead silent.
No.
I mean, you would think, even if you get a little egg on your face for getting, you know, getting a little tricked into doing this, that you would still say, I wasn't donating to that. I thought we were donating to what they said.
I don't think they care, man. I really don't. I
honestly don't think that they've heard the news yet about the SPLC.
Well,
because they don't listen.
I think part of it, there's that. There's the, but there's also the willful plugging of the ears going, la, 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 la. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And I think that's a lot of it's going to be. I think in a lot of ways, they will use this as an opportunity to raise money, right? Because let's be honest, most people that are in the center, and I would say towards the right because this is an issue happening to the left, people towards, I would say, the center, maybe slightly left of center as well as, you know, to the right. They're the ones that are going to pay attention, and they're the ones that are going to be like, oh, wow, that's awful. But the people on the left are just going to plug their ears and go, la, 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 I can't hear you. I can't hear you. They were just paid informants, and I'm sure they will make more money as a result of this. The issue is going to be the fact that if they actually do have a case and it goes to trial, who knows what happens after that? Maybe some people go to jail. Maybe the SPLC gets fined. I have no idea what's going to happen. What's the results are going to be.
They will definitely have to lose their nonprofit status.
Yeah. Hopefully.
And at very minimum, they are no longer a nonprofit because they broke the rules of that either way.
Yeah.
But I think they'll probably get convictions on some of this.
I think they
go to jail,
they will too.
Unlikely.
No.
Because who are you going to actually trace it to? The accountant for the SPLC? And that's the only person that gets held responsible?
Well, they will probably have a fall guy. There will probably be a fall guy for sure. And I think part of it is going to be because obviously they set up shell companies, and I don't know if that information is on record when it comes to shell companies. I mean, it has to trace back to somebody, you would think, but maybe not. I know that shell companies.
That's the whole thing we discovered during Doge.
Yeah.
NGOs, shell companies, other NGOs, and government funding all of it.
Yeah. You would think that would trace back to somebody, but it probably won't. But they will probably prop up somebody to take the fall. And the thing that's crazy about it is that they were actually paying people in those prepaid cards too. That was another thing that they're doing to obfuscate the payments.
Right, untraceable.
Yeah. So who knows?
Yeah.
But I think the Hollywood elites have been donating. I think they're just keeping their heads down, waiting for it to blow over, and they'll just keep doing it.
I think they'll just move their donations over to Media Matters or somebody else.
Maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised if companies like that are doing the same thing, because they're very fond of making lists and trying to cancel people, just like the SPLC was.
Yep.
Media Matters and SPLC are the two that go after almost any right-wing YouTuber, podcaster, anything. You say anything in that way and you get big enough that your voice is being heard, and they will throw you on the list as this is a white supremacist.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'll be interested to see if any other major groups like that fall, because I would be interested in whether Media Matters needs an investigation into it as well. Yep. But I have no doubts this all came from Doge. I think it's just taken this long to build a case that you could actually
wouldn't be
present
surprised
to a grand jury.
Yeah. And maybe they'll take some more scalps as well. That would be great, because I would like to see an end to this fraud, this abuse. And, we've seen it in California where they're basically trying to pass a law to make investigating fraud illegal.
The Nick Shirley
Act.
Yeah.
Did you see where he was going around interviewing people that were basically signing off on the bill? That supported the bill?
The people that co-signed on the bill, and they're like, I don't even know what's in that. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, why would you have signed off on it then? They know exactly what's in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think they probably knew who he was as well. They may not have recognized him. Once he said he was Nick Shirley, I'm sure. Oh, he's like, I have no idea who you are. And it's like, yeah, whatever.
He's pretty recognizable. He's a 23-year-old walking around with a mic and the camera, and has a pretty distinct look to him, I would say, especially being on the news as much as he has lately. Yeah. And it's just like not knowing who Scott Pressler is.
Yeah.
I think most people know who Scott Pressler is at this point, on both sides, because the left hates him and the right finds him as one of those people that we see him everywhere on social media, because that's what he does. The other thing kind of in connection with that, though, we've given Cash a hard time throughout his first year and a half.
Very much so.
Deservingly for some things. But I think this does show this is how long it does take to put together a forensic case. Because as I was saying on your show Thursday night, the left wasn't investigating this, the DOJ before this. So there was no hint. I would think that there was no hint of this investigation going on before we started it.
Oh, no, I think it pretty much took
So it had to have
surprise.
started basically right around Doge, and it's taken this long to put together the case to get a grand jury indictment that is solid enough that you might actually get, something to happen. So, yes, keep being hard on Cash for the things that we need to be hard on him for, but also recognize that the wheels of justice turn very slowly sometimes.
Indeed, they do.
Putting together an actual full investigation is not a 2-week, 3-week thing.
Well, you want to make sure that they do their due diligence, and they don't go half cock and fuck things up, right? I mean, that's what we don't want them to do.
Which is also like the Charlie Kirk thing. You're not going to see all the evidence before the trial. Why?
Yeah.
Because you can't taint jury pools, and you can't put everything just out there in the open for everybody. It's a case being built. But there's a few YouTubers and podcasters that don't seem to understand the way the judicial system works in any way.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Who would that possibly be, Brahma?
Yep. What's crazy to me is, since you didn't hear about the assassination attempt until today, I mean, there were people celebrating last night on Twitter because Erica Kirk was there and was traumatized by it and was crying and just wanted to leave.
I saw there was a video clip that Kata responded to, and the guy said, "Why is she crying?" And the guy's like, Kata's like, "What are you, fucking stupid?
Are you
It's
dumb?"
like her husband was just assassinated and gunshots went off. And I was like, what the fuck? What's going on? And eventually I found Actual Justice Warrior video talking about it. I was like, oh, wow. That's
I mean, it's only been almost 8 months, but 7 to 8 months since Charlie went down. So, yeah, I mean, at a place where there's gun violence and another possible assassination attempt, she's going to react, and crying would be most likely the reaction most women would have, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fucking retarded, man. It's people. It's people, man.
All right, how about a moment of levity before we jump into that next deep topic? Let me pull up this video of, it was Tony Hinchcliffe's show. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's Glenn Jacobs. Yeah, Kill Tony. It's Glenn Jacobs, better known as Kane in the WWE. He is, I think you're aware of this, he is currently a mayor in Tennessee. But he was doing a stand-up bit. I think
you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing a stand-up bit on Kill Tony, and Undertaker's there watching as well. So I thought this one was pretty funny because he takes it a little bit political, and some of the people in the room liked it, others did not. But it seemed to get a bigger pop than booze, so. All right.
Governor Tim Walz claimed that he could kick the asses. This is just like wrestling, actually. This is awesome. Claimed that he could kick the asses of Trump supporters. So I challenged him to a charity wrestling exhibition. You guys are going to be shocked. And you guys are going to be shocked. He never got back to me. I guess that's why they call him Tampon Tim. But I'm done. Thank you.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen.
Ouch.
Kane throwing shots.
Damn.
Kind of funny.
That is pretty funny.
Especially because I remember Tim Walz saying he could basically mop the floor with any Republican candidate.
Yeah.
But yeah, Glenn Jacobs apparently is an outstanding mayor, and he does run every time as a Republican. So support him. All right. So I guess here's where we'll start. We'll do kind of the timeline of how. Oh, actually, somebody had asked if we could talk about the Virginia election. So we'll give Carrie a few more minutes and talk about that first. So yeah, the Virginia election, about the gerrymandering the district. The Republicans were winning once again late into the night, or well, the vote against it happening was winning late into the night. And then suddenly we had a ballot drop that, flipped everything by exactly, I think it was like 300,000 votes, that like 95% of them went to the bad side.
Yeah.
So questionable yet again.
What could have possibly happened, Brahma?
Yeah, I know. But it's already, the lower courts have already stopped it from being put in place. It'll go all the way up to the state Supreme Court. State Supreme Court hearing, I believe, is tomorrow, and it is a open hearing that I think is also going to be televised for the oral arguments for that. So ultimately, they're finding they could argue it a couple different ways. So it's currently held up because they said you didn't follow the actual state constitution, which is what we have been saying on this show for months and months and months.
Right.
So it can be thrown out on that easily. Also, the wording of it was just absolutely ridiculous. It was
I heard about that. That's crazy.
Yes, to create new districts to temporarily to make our elections fair again.
Yeah.
Not biased wording at all, right? I mean,
yeah, no. It's
so it can be thrown down on that because people didn't have any. If you don't stay plugged in, and you're thinking, okay, well, it says we want to keep the elections fair.
Brahma?
Yeah, then you're gonna vote for fair elections.
Yeah. No one's gonna be like, well, I'm against fair elections. Yeah, they fucking weasel worded that. It's pretty despicable.
Yeah. Davina, define fair.
Well,
Democrats win is what they define as fair.
That's fair. Yeah. Democrats winning, not Republicans.
And I love that this has all gone back to, well, Republicans did this first. It's like, well, the state of
Bitch,
Texas was
please.
forced to redistrict because of the law.
Mm-hmm.
California and Virginia have done this to try to get back at Texas.
Yes.
Texas didn't do it voluntarily. They had to do it. California, they put a referendum in to do it and get rid of the councils that they had put in place that were specifically to district the states. Virginia's doing the same thing, just drawing a new map. Map doesn't make sense. We're just drawing it because that'll give us all the seats except for one. And it actually disenfranchises a ton of voters that are in the minority class, which is the other, U.S. Supreme Court case that we're waiting to see arguments on about whether you can still have, racial definitions for having the minority districts. So it's got all kinds of problems. So I sincerely doubt Virginia is going to get away with it. But in return, Florida is just going to gerrymander the crap out of Florida.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis is all over it. You've got Hakeem Jeffries trying to strong word warn him not to do it. And it's like, no, once
like,
again,
you guys been fucking doing this all the
open
time.
Pandora's box.
Yeah.
We're going to do it too. I mean, what do you think is going to happen when you start playing these stupid games? And it's gotten past just politics. I mean, there's always been gerrymandering. But when you've got a 51-49 state and you say no representation for the 49, that's completely screwed.
Yeah. Well, and okay, this is the attitude of people on the left is, I had conversations with family that are on the left. And I basically mentioned that because we're talking about the point of the Electoral College. I said, if it was popular vote, then it would be California and New York that will be electing the president. You say, and they're like, I don't see a problem with that. I was like, you're basically disenfranchising the rest of the country.
The rest of the country now works for those two states.
Yeah. It's like
they get whatever they want. Nobody
and you're
else
fine
gets...
with that. They're fine with that as long as it goes their direction.
Right.
Or stuff that they agree with. As soon as it stops being those things, or if it gets further left or whatever, or maybe those two states end up getting captured by the right. God forbid. I mean, I don't believe that would happen, but that's just an example. Then they would suddenly have a problem with that. Oh, we need to bring back the Electoral College.
Yeah. Well, and that is actually actively what they're doing. And Virginia is one of the states that signed on to that electoral compact, where it basically said all of our votes, all these Democrat states have said all of our votes will go to the popular vote winner, no matter who it is, and no matter who our state voted for. Which they didn't bring it up during the last election when Trump won the popular vote. They didn't just automatically throw all their votes to him.
Yeah. Well, gee, I wonder why. Yeah. Because it only goes one way, doesn't it?
It's weird like that, huh? Yeah. Dearest for $5 says Nick Freitas is a Virginian and was a state legislator. He has been covering the districting in detail on his podcast. Yep, I'm very well aware of Nick. I don't actually catch the full podcast, but I do get a lot of the clips from him because he's very prolific on Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen a few of his clips, specifically after Charlie Kirk and what he was kind of saying around that when they're talking about turning down the temperature. And he had some pretty interesting things to say.
So I think for that one, we will do...
Lil Chad always wants more, and so do I.
Thank you, dearest. So, yeah, so there's the Electoral College thing. Lost my train of thought since I read the super chat. But, yeah, I think it'll definitely get overturned. And I think the whole thing of the gerrymandering is they're going to have to step in at some point. I mean, the federal government may have to step in at some point and say, we've got to have some proportion. I don't know that they can, though. But everything's going to get redistricted after 2030. So we've got 4 more years at the most of this. And hopefully we get another case to go before the Supreme Court about birthright citizenship, because that is a major component to whether this country stays a free country.
Mm-hmm.
And even you're going to have New York and California losing seats left and right in this next census with the the districting after the
yeah.
new
Not only
census.
that, they're going to lose their shit because a lot of people moved out.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
they're losing their population. Your population is what determines, the amount of electoral votes you get and the amount of representatives you get in the House. And they're fleeing. The people are fleeing to red states. And it's not the people who tend to vote blue. It's the people who actively have to get out of these blue hellholes and are going to Florida, Tennessee, Texas, even a little bit to Arizona, I guess. But Arizona's a little bit purple.
Yeah. Well, it's Starbucks is moving to Tennessee.
Yeah, to Tennessee.
Well, they're opening a second
headquarters,
which will end up being their primary headquarters.
And they're telling their people out in Seattle, you have to move out to Tennessee, and they are all threatening to quit. And Starbucks is like, okay, because you guys are part of the problem. So, I mean, we will let you keep your jobs if you come out here, which I don't particularly want the people from Seattle moving out to Tennessee, because that's exactly who we don't want the blue states exporting to red states. I understand why Starbucks is making the move, but that doesn't mean we want their employees to follow suit. I'm fine with something like, again, this is, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, but I'm fine with like Daily Wire repositioning out of California to Tennessee and taking all of their employees with them, because we know their employees are probably going to not be an invasive species in the new state. Mm-hmm. They're going to contribute to the new state. So, yeah, weird. But yeah, Starbucks, I think that's hilarious because I've always seen them as extremely woke. But
they have been.
I think they still are. I think they're escaping the problem they created up there in Washington with the wokeness and with the corporate taxes. Because Washington, Oregon, California, they're all leftist commie hellholes as far as I'm concerned.
I was watching an interesting video today. It was about this guy. He's from Germany. He did lots of videos on Germany and talked about how great Germany was. And so he did this video like a couple weeks ago. And it just showed up my YouTube feed. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. This is kind of interesting. And basically, he left Germany and he basically lists all the laundry list of complaints as to why. And it just goes to show you that the problems are pervasive everywhere. And this guy is by no means conservative, but he's talking about how high taxes are so fucking high. It's pretty unbearable. And the fact that the majority of people don't want to work. There's a lot of people in Germany that don't want to work. They live basically off the dole. And they've also become a very anti-natalist country. He's talking about how taking his kids out to a place and people will give him dirty looks and stuff like that. And it's just like, wow, it's kind of crazy. And of course there's the immigrant problem, which he doesn't necessarily want to name, which I think is fucking hilarious. He kind of just like glosses over it. Just like he does some hand waving. It's like, oh, you know, the problem. Doesn't want to say it because he's sure he doesn't want to be called racist, but it's like, dude,
same as racial profiling. It's like, there's a reason racial profiling was done. Yep. There's a reason why all the Democrats, after 9/11 are like, well, don't start blaming Islam for any of this. It's not Islam that's the issue. Don't be racist about it. Or Nancy Pelosi during COVID. Well, don't be racist towards the Chinese. We don't know what happened. We know what happened. Those of us who use common sense know what freaking happened.
Yeah.
And we all know that we're not on good terms with China at almost any time. There are times where we can play in the sandbox together, but it's ultimately going to end up China versus the U.S. in who's the global hegemony.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that the guy when he was making the video was in Cyprus. He already left Germany. And he
Right.
also talked about the whole thing with free speech and what's happening there and how bad it's gotten compared
It's
to
a Europe thing.
Yeah, it's a Europe thing. It's pretty bad. But he's talking about, he's like, yeah, I'm moving to Japan. I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I kind of wanted to make a comment. It's like, don't bring your politics, dude. That's what
Yeah,
caused this
because they'll
shit.
kick you right back out.
Well, yeah, they will kick you
Japan
right
is
back
not
out.
happy with immigration right now.
No, but the whole point is it's like anytime we have like a California move to Texas, like don't bring your fucking politics. It's because that's what got you there. We don't want you to bring your shit to us.
We had to yell at Gary and make sure that he wasn't going to do anything stupid when he got to Texas.
Yes.
But I didn't think Gary was ever going to.
No.
I don't think he was inherently political in any way. In fact, when I first joined your show, you know, I mean, we were on the tail end of COVID, and it was like, why doesn't Gary speak out a little? Backstage conversation. Why doesn't Gary speak out a little bit more on the politics? Because you could see him going further and further to the I've got to get the hell out of California.
Right. Well, and eventually he did. He made several videos about why he was leaving California.
Yeah. And he's been pretty outspoken on that reason ever since, and has also been pretty outspoken on you can't ever vote Democrat. They're insane.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was good. That was basically it. Pretty much. I mean, that's the thing that sucks about it is that we need to have a two-party system, right? This is the problem that California suffers from, is the fact that it is basically been captured by the Democrats. And one of the biggest problems with any party, doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat, is as soon as they know that they've got a state, they can fuck off and do whatever they want because they just know people are going to vote for them.
Right.
So there needs to be that fear on both sides of if we piss off the voter base, we're going to lose votes. People will switch to the other side, and that's the issue.
It's essentially how we're going to get a Katie Porter governing California. Steve Hilton and Katie Porter are going to be the two that it comes down to from what it looks like.
Are you serious? Katie Porter's still in the race? That insufferable.
Yeah, the only one who's
cunts.
dropped out is Swalwell. And that was because they pushed him out. You can't tell me the Swalwell stuff wasn't known and planned ahead of it.
Well, they
had four witnesses give testimony on TV in interviews the same night. I mean, this was all an op where they literally had four people ready to go to speak out against him. And they had the interviews ready for TV the same night that it broke.
Yeah. Well, I 100% believe it was a hit job. And we talked about this. It's like they've known this guy's been dirty for years, and they've chosen to do literally nothing about it.
Right.
It's insane.
Now, do I believe the one that was an accusation of rape? No.
No.
Not even a little bit. But of severe wrongdoing, he should have been kicked out of Congress and, put on a list the second he started sleeping with Fang Fang.
Yes. Absolutely should happen.
And he was on the Intel committee.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a guy on the Intel committee sleeping with a known Chinese spy.
That's crazy. Nothing. Nobody did jack shit.
No problem. But now that he's running for the governor of California and we want something other than him, the whole party takes him down.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, man. It's pretty fucking weird.
It's the country we live in at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's not going to get better. And we're just going to get more and more divided because we've got all of this crap where the Democrats cannot own up to things. The Republicans, the politician class is also bad. Yeah, that's why having a businessman in the Oval Office is the best thing that we could have had for this country.
Mm-hmm.
Because you stop doing the uniparty, wishy-washy Republicans versus, ruthless Democrats. Trump has, put forth somewhat of a plan, and he's got 3 more years to implement it. Now, whether Congress is going to help him out, don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking about reconciliation, not to do the SAVE Act, which I don't think they can do through reconciliation. And, you know, we've talked and Chad's gone on about it a little bit, but we're going to use our reconciliation for this year just to get paid for, you know, DHS. How about you make the Democrats cave in a filibuster?
Yeah.
A real filibuster.
It would be nice if they did that, but
yeah.
I mean, I think that the other thing too, at the end of the day, is the Democrats, or sorry, the Republicans are also part of the problem. You know,
yes,
that's the big issue there.
Well, the Republicans, the political class of the Republicans, for the most part, is not actually conservative.
Yeah,
they're classic Republicans. They're rhinos. They're neocons. They were never conservative to begin with. Hey, there's the special guest.
All right.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Keri.
I lost my voice as soon as
She's
I joined.
dying.
Hi. Have you ever done that? Right when you're about to speak, you choke?
Yeah, I have several times.
Good to see you. Two of my favorite guys.
Good to see you.
I'm sorry. Thanks for your patience. It's the worst being this late. I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
For shame, Keri. For
I
shame.
know.
Well, did you get this?
Home
Did you get to spend time with Anthony and then you came on instead of the other way around? Okay.
He got home like
That's
right
good.
before we were about to start. So yeah, we've been hanging out a little bit, and then I had not seen him since Wednesday. My husband, for anyone who doesn't know, his weekdays are a little different. He is a musician, so his weekend starts tomorrow. Mondays and Tuesdays are always off, usually for him.
His work day is the weekend.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Well, it's kind of like restaurant work. You make your best money on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So, anything happened this week?
Oh, no, nothing.
Very little.
It's been a pretty boring week, Keri. I mean, we already kind of hit on the SPLC. If there's anything you want to add.
Oh,
yeah, you did a whole show on it. So
on it. Just that everything. Probably what I didn't hear this part of the show. I just heard the last few minutes you guys were talking, so I didn't hear this part. But if I repeat you, it's just all this stuff that we know, that we've known. If you've been awake for a while, you know this. But when you talk about it with leftists, which I still try to do, I use Facebook for that. Facebook's where you can still get a good cross section of people, like the public square. Like there's leftists there, and there's base people there. There's a whole range of people there. Whereas X is mostly an echo chamber and a bunch of woke right. I will use that phrase.
Well, it's how you cater your algorithm.
Yeah, but you don't really get a lot of leftists on X, so you can't really talk to woke leftists there because they've all left and gone to Blue Sky. So anyway, Facebook is where I talk to them, and when I talk to them, they don't like with stories like this. Even if they're well-intentioned leftists and they're just kind of clueless, but their heart's in the right place and they're still clueless and blind, they're like, what do you mean they were giving money to the KKK? You know, and it's like, yeah, of course they do. It makes sense to us. We've been noticing for years these fake-looking feds. It's become a joke about them glowing. You know, those
Patriot Front.
Front. Every time Charlottesville, we noticed them back then, 2017 at Charlottesville. Trump called them out immediately and repeatedly that white supremacists have no part in the conservative movement. That's not who he was talking about with very fine guys. He said that repeatedly.
Well, in the first election, they tried to tie him to David Duke.
Yeah, David Duke hated him.
And David Duke hates him, but he had endorsed him in the first election just for some chaos. And then in the second and third elections, David Duke was completely a never-Trumper.
Yeah, it's all these, and all the new ones, the Groypers. The Charlottesville launched Nick Fuentes' career. And Nick Fuentes, every election is like launching a war on Trump, not voting for Trump. He takes credit when Trump wins and tries to claim it as a victory. And the media, the leftist media, is happy to call him a Trump supporter and try and say this is what Trump supporters are like. But every time there's an election, he tells his Groyper Nazi audience, don't vote for Trump. Vote for the Democrat
because that's the only way we'll get the Republicans to actually do what we tell them to.
Well,
that's what he says.
One of the things too, some of the speculation, and again, this hasn't been proven, and I mentioned this earlier in the show, is that there's some speculation that the individual who was getting paid because there was an individual at Charlottesville.
Yes.
Obviously know this was getting paid. It was Nick
Yes.
Fuentes. It's
Yes.
yeah.
Because Comix, you guys may have covered this, but he got paid a sum of money around the same amount.
Really?
Yes, around the same time. It was in the news. Actually, it hit the news a couple years later that he had been paid this sum of money from this French billionaire who had just died, this computer guy in France. Do you remember this?
No,
And it was like
I
200
really wasn't paying attention to Nick Fuentes that much at the time period. So
look up French, 250,000 Nick Fuentes payment. You'll find all these news articles from a few years ago. And this guy died. And he like mysteriously gave a Bitcoin payment to Nick Fuentes and another one to another white nationalist, Patrick Casey. And now the amount was similar to what it says that the SPLC paid to the Charlottesville person. So it's like, come on, was it him? I don't know, but
it's interesting because for the longest time he was persona non grata. I mean, there was no way he was making money off of streaming and stuff because he was kicked off of everything.
Yeah.
It's only recently that he's come back. It's one of the gross things about who they have let back and who they have taken down.
Oh yeah, well he's suddenly this whole year, there was this push to try and mainstream him or normalize him, which I we may disagree on this, but I think it's a no. If you follow me on X, I think it's all very fishy, and I think there's a lot of people I used to trust who I no longer trust who are involved in trying to image launder for him, like Tucker Carlson, very big name.
Right.
Why would you put him on there? Why? Right after your friend Charlie is murdered, and Charlie famously,
Adamantly
hated him, and he even went after people like Dinesh D'Souza for debating him and slapping him down, even though Dinesh did a good job of challenging him. Tucker didn't even challenge him. Tucker just brought him on to, make him look better, like he just to pamper him.
Yeah.
And just to fluff his little pillows for him,
That was pretty much for me, that was the first sign of Tucker's decline.
Yeah, because it was like, why would you do this?
And then in a matter of months, we had Tucker, Megyn Kelly. I mean, Candace Owens had already gone crazy 8 months ago now. I mean, she was already questionable before that. But Megyn Kelly seemed pretty solid to me for quite a few things.
I was a big fan.
And Tucker, I went and saw him during the election. I paid for a ticket to go to his show when he was doing the multi-city tour during the last election, and saw him with Tulsi and a few other people. But yeah, Tucker.
And at the same time,
he posted something a couple nights ago, and I responded back with, actually, he was like, I'm sorry for, when he apologized for ever trying to get anybody to vote for Trump.
Oh, yeah.
A few days ago.
Shut up.
When he posted that on X, I just responded, I'd kind of like a refund for the ticket that I paid for to go watch you promote his election, because I'm still fully on board with Trump, and you are the one who has lost me.
Yes, exactly. I
have gotten no reply.
We should do a comedy sketch.
Of course.
Where it's like, we should do a comedy sketch like him and his brother, Tucker and Bucker. What's his name?
Buckley, I think.
Tuck and Buck. Tuck and Buck. And they're both sitting there like, oh, we have a lot to do, a lot of penance for helping people get this monster elected. It's just awful. You should do a comedy sketch.
But look how far he's fallen that his guest is Buckley Carlson.
His brother.
Well, I think that's one thing too, is that I guess it came out that he never liked Trump. He always hated him.
Well, in the Dominion lawsuit, there were texts that said, I'm so glad we're done with him after January. We never have to talk about him again.
He's
blah,
like,
blah,
I
blah.
can't stand him. And those private texts, those were never meant to be public. They only came out as a result of this lawsuit during discovery, where they were getting all the private communications. So that was a shocker, because at that time when those came out during the Dominion lawsuit, I thought Tucker loved Trump. And
it was a shocker, but at the same time, there were a lot of people who had that opinion that they really did not. J.D. Vance, I mean,
true.
Tucker got there after, or during the Trump presidency,
True.
whereas J.D. Vance had said it before. And then as Trump actually governed, J.D. Vance turned around and said, actually, no, I was wrong. He's not a Nazi, and he's not going to be the end of America. He's actually a very good president, and I'm getting on board.
And you
Tucker
can change your
did
mind
it at
like
the
that.
end of the presidency.
You can
Well, it's
change
like
your
a-
mind. I did. We
I
we
mean,
all
I
can
did. I
change
didn't
our
vote for
mind.
Trump the first time.
Sure.
I
Me
didn't vote for
either.
Hillary either, but I didn't vote for him. I contemplated voting for Hillary. I was like, no, I'm going to still vote Libertarian.
Oh, I was like, what's her face on the Bill Maher show? Ann Coulter. I was like Ann Coulter during the first election. People were like, who's going to win? And I was like, Trump.
You voted for
During the
Trump.
primary, I said Trump. Yeah.
I was
mean,
like you, Comix. I didn't.
I'm a Rush baby. I grew up in politics on the conservative side. I listened to Rush Limbaugh every day, most of my life until he died. So I'm sitting there looking at Trump and going, he's cleaning the clocks of everybody during the debates.
Right.
And the Republicans are going to end up pooling behind him, and he'll beat Hillary solely because he is not a politician. And it ended up being right.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't
Of course,
on YouTube or anything at that point.
I
but,
wasn't
mean,
either. But
just like
I
Ann
remember-
Coulter on Bill Maher, and everybody just laughing in her face when she said, when they asked her who's going to win the election, and she said
was
Trump
right.
Well,
without
look,
hesitation.
the one
And
thing
now she's
for
never a
me-
Trumper.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about it. But for me, during the time of the election, I was paying attention, and I was getting ready to head to my Kimpo class, and I was like, I think Trump's actually going to win. I was actually really shocked. And and it turns out, he did win. I mean, because I sure as hell didn't want Hillary. You know, to me, that election was the douche and turd sandwich, from South Park, right? And I thought it was funny that he got elected. The fact that he triggered so many people on the left, I found really fucking amusing.
I still go watch the Young Turks election night meltdown from
So,
2016
yeah.
just for fun.
What turned me around on him, really, because I was kind of indifferent, right? I wasn't for him. I wasn't against him. I was really sick of the TDS during the time period. I was so annoyed by everyone fucking talking about him.
Yeah.
But what turned me around was his third year, right, before COVID hit, where the economy was going really good. And it's like we started seeing all
We were
these
on rocket
really
fuel.
positive things happening in the country. And I'm like, maybe this guy isn't so bad. Like I said, I was never against him, but I was just like, whatever.
Maybe a businessman can do something that a politician
Well, I know,
can't,
that's-
get something done.
That's stuff I've kind of said before as well, but need to get businessman. When Ross Perot ran, I actually voted for Ross
Well,
Perot.
I
because he
mean,
was a
look at
businessman.
Ronald Reagan. It's a freaking actor.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, he had at least been a governor,
Mhm.
but he came out of
Acting.
actually doing some kind of work.
Yeah.
Even if it was just acting, he did a job before he became a politician.
Right.
Not, I'm going into the political class. That's
Yes.
my life.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's I thought he did, a pretty good job because, during that time period, coming off of Obama, things weren't the greatest, economy wise. Things are kind of stagnant. Of course, we had the issue with the 2008 bust, and then eventually he left. And I was like, well, it's like,
Am I too loud, Eclay?
no,
I
you're
can
good.
turn the volume down.
No, you sound fine to me.
Well, back here is sometimes different than
True.
out there.
But it was just really kind of interesting to see. It's like, okay, this guy is actually trying to do the stuff that he said he was going to do.
Yes.
And I mean,
You know what did it for me? What started to chill things for me was what was simultaneous leaving the woke cult. I didn't vote for him obviously in the first election. I was
Right.
one of those people who I ended up, I was crying the 91, but I ended up my vote didn't count because I had just moved to Texas. I sent my absentee ballot back too late. I ended up voting green. I kept going back and forth. Should I vote for Hillary or not? And I just couldn't. Something was happening. Even though I was still woke, technically, it was like I was starting to leave. But there was something about Hillary that was like a lizard where I just couldn't. I couldn't. It just, my whole gut instinct, the gift of fear, whatever. My whole gut instinct was like, you can't vote for her. And I kept thinking, oh, I have to. And I couldn't. So I decided to vote green, but then I sent it back too late. However, being that it's California, they probably counted it.
Probably.
They probably counted it anyway. Jill Stein, that was her name.
Oh yeah,
Well,
Jill Stein.
one of the things
Yeah.
that turned people off Hillary was what at this point does it matter? You know, we just let people get murdered in Benghazi, our people. Look at what we just did in Iran to save one pilot.
It wasn't even
We
that
gave
for
up
me.
billions, or not billions, millions in equipment and planes to save one guy.
Yeah, you know what it was? Being someone on the left, I think it was her entitlement. When I saw the debates, I hated him. Of course, like I had so much prejudice against him because of the cult I
When
was
he
in.
towered over
And
her.
I hated him, but I also hated her. That was what was surprising. I thought she was just so it was like she walked around that stage as if she had
Owned it.
so much arrogance and
Yeah.
she owned it, and it was she was like a political like it was hers, as if it was hers and she deserved this and she knew it was going to be hers, entitled to it. And that just really, I think that's what it was. It was that attitude,
And
no.
you know what I think happened?
What?
That was the last clean election we ever had. Because after that, the rigging began.
That's what I think
Yes.
too.
Because they didn't think they had to rig that election.
Yeah.
And before that, it kind of felt like, well, we'll just pass it back and forth every now and then. You guys can we're not going to let you get away with anybody too crazy, but we're just going to pass the presidency back and forth every now and then and, you know, do things.
Well, I think
And
that they
then-
firmly believed that
then when
there
Hillary
wasn't gonna
lost,
be, yeah, I
They
don't think
had no clue he was going to win that election.
yeah.
No.
I think that they believed firmly that those, you know, that, sorry, I'm totally blanking. Bush was going to be the last Republican president. From now on, it was just going to be Democrats. I mean, that was the pervasive attitude. The fact
Yeah.
that Saturday Night Live actually did a sketch on that.
Right.
I don't remember that sketch, but I remembered that
It was with Chappelle.
Clinton's team was like, they were pushing for Trump to be the nominee. Do you guys remember this? They called
Yeah.
a bunch of their internal emails and stuff came out. They called him the Pied Piper candidate. They thought he had no shot of winning, and so they wanted him to be the nominee because they thought he would be an easy defeat.
Joe Scarborough and Mika had him on 5 days a week, promoting him on MSNBC.
Because they thought he would be easy to beat.
Because they thought he was a doofus that would never possibly be elected.
Yeah.
You know that Bible verse? God chooses the foolish to shame the proud. I think of that verse a lot when I look at Trump. They thought he was a buffoon. They thought this guy's a buffoon. No one's going to vote for him. It's like, hey, he came in here to shame the proud.
Well, I mean, it's like what they do with, say, anybody in this administration that worked at Fox for any amount of time. Like, Hegseth is just a Fox News talking head. No, Hegseth was in the military. He has awards from the military. He served overseas. He had a whole military career before Fox. You know, Trump, it's the host of The Apprentice? It's like, no, he built most of New York's skyline.
Yeah.
You guys just conveniently ignore that he is an actual businessman who has run gigantic corporations. And that's all the country really is, a gigantic corporation. The government has to learn how to budget and spend, and that is what a corporation has to do if the corporation wants to survive. You have to know where to put the money and where to cut the money to make sure that you actually can keep going. The problem is the government is a corporation that can print its own money.
Yes.
But Trump runs it like it is a business.
Like it's a business.
And he would love, I think, for Congress to get on board with, hey, why don't we cut a whole bunch of crap like Doge? Because I'm not sure how much Doge actually got cut. They pointed out a lot of waste and fraud, but I don't know how much of it actually got codified by Congress during the reconciliation package and stuff. I mean, they still control the purse strings in Congress. So who knows? But Keri, we were talking a little bit about the SPLC.
Oh yeah, I got us
About
way off track. Sorry.
no, we're fine. I'm
you're
fine
good.
having a casual conversation about the Doge cuts has to have been where they started the investigation. It had to have been one of the
where
NGOs
they
that Doge found that
Yes,
said
well, because they
it's
were
going.
the SPLC was receiving money from the Tides Foundation, and wasn't the Tides Foundation receiving money from USAID or something?
Yes,
Well, that's how all of the NGOs were getting funded, because the point was you make an NGO, non-government organization, I think.
Yeah,
is what it
non-government
is.
organization.
And then you don't have any oversight from Congress on any of that money, because now it's a non-profit over here that has the money that you just fed it. It's not the government spending the money. It's the government giving the money to an NGO that can then do with the money whatever it wants.
Yeah, NGOs
and
need to be made
disperses
illegal.
it throughout all the smaller funnels underneath it.
Okay, here we go. Yes, the USAID was one of the top federal funding sources for the Tides Foundation, accounting for nearly $27.5 million of taxpayer money that went to the Tides Foundation. And then the Tides Foundation was funding the SPLC, which was funding the KKK.
Which
just
was
so
essentially
funny.
non-existent until they started funding it again.
Yeah, it says that in the
They
indictment.
revived all the hate groups is what they
brought
did.
it back. They brought it back.
They did.
And this is
Literally
the
it
thing.
did.
If anybody's talking to leftist friends and families who don't get this, like I said, to go back to the Facebook analogy, I have this one leftist friend there who's always asking me questions, and so I really appreciate this guy because I get the flavor of what they're asking. Anyway, if they ask you like, but weren't they just paying informants? They weren't paying low-level informants. They were paying the head of the KKK.
The grand wizard through his wife.
And they paid him to revitalize the organization. And they were paying people whose faces they were using, who were high profile enough that they were targets on the SPLC website. And they were like, look at this bad, evil person. Give us money to help defeat this person. And then they would give part of that money
Give them an
to the
envelope
person.
under the table to the person that they put on their website saying this is an evil person.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so fucking funny. It really is.
I like all the memes, comics. Did you see the memes with so many funny ones? That was like, one was that some Sabrina Carpenter chick at Coachella doing the face like,
Doing
and
the-
it's like,
Yeah.
it's like my woke
I don't like
aunt,
that.
Yeah, I don't like that. My woke aunt finding out that her contributions funded the KKK.
I honestly, I don't think it's going to hurt them. I don't.
I think it's going to hurt them because I think we're going to see Act Blue be the next one on the chopping block. And that is
maybe.
the government. That is the Democrats' whole funding apparatus.
Well,
and
yeah,
we all know
for
that one is completely corrupt. So they may sacrifice all the lower ones to keep Act Blue
it's
if they're able to, or we
possibility.
may actually go after all of them because, I mean, Blanche, I can't think of many cases that Bondi brought during her time as AG, but Blanche, within the first 2 weeks, we've already got this indictment. So he's just acting AG or interim AG, but he's already done more than I feel like Bondi
did. Holy shit, yeah.
And I don't know that he'll stay as the permanent. I'm glad that Trump seems to have leaned away from Trey Gowdy being in there. I would kind of like to see Mike Lee be in that position because Trump loyalist and, absolute pit bull about all of the corruption and fraud type stuff. But, yeah, I think we've hit the SPLC as much as we can. I think we got to go on to the topic from last night that we were kind of waiting until you got here, Keri, because I know you had already covered the SPLC.
Wow, so you guys haven't covered this shooting
We
yet?
haven't covered the assassination attempt yet, so
Wow.
we'll do it in a timeline type situation.
Okay.
So here is how the night started, and this is our favorite idiot, Jimmy Kimmel, Don't know if you have seen this clip yet.
No, I've not.
It did not get circulated widely until later today. But this was one of the jokes he made at the beginning of the night.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude
ass.
cannot help himself
on
being
really
a freaking idiot and putting his...
Why the fuck was he even invited
stepping
to
on Riggs?
begin with?
Because you got to have a comedian at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Wait, was this at the White House? I thought this was a joke that he did on his show, pretending to be there.
I don't know. If
I
it
don't
was,
think he
then
was really
that's
there.
just as bad.
Yeah, it's just as bad. Either way. Hold on. I have to find out. But he just... Maybe he was there.
I don't know. The crowd laughter didn't sound loud enough, and I don't think they had the White House in the background, so it
He
could have been
wasn't
on the
there.
show. But
No,
that's...
So it was
that
a bit.
makes it
It was
just
a bit on his show. Yeah.
Okay. Well, jacked up
Alternative
enough.
White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's like him doing a fake... Wow, what a loser.
Like they did the fake... what is it? The address that
State of
Trump
the
does.
Union.
State of the Union, yeah.
What a loser. And you know what? So he's there making jokes about how Trump should be murdered and all these leftists are laughing. And then somebody goes there and tries to murder Trump.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a theme
like,
for our talk.
So,
That'll be a theme for our talk because, all the stuff, say Hassan, Destiny, all of them are talking about constantly. And not even just them. The actual just media. It's all in the manifesto from the guy. I mean, we have the manifesto, so we'll kind of get that in here. But so then we've got, this is the audio from what happened. Trump thought that it was a waiter dropping plates or something. That's why there's not a major reaction. So let me make sure the audio is here, because that's kind of the important part, because you can hear the gunshots go off. And the guy that is up there, originally everybody was like, how do you even let somebody get that close to the president? He's an illusionist. He was part of the entertainment for the night.
Really?
Yeah. So there's the shots ringing out.
Multiple shots. Did anyone get hit?
Yes. Secret Service agent got hit. But he had a vest.
Okay. That's good.
Okay. So in the timeline, that's one of the views of it. Sorry, I organized this to hopefully have it in an order where it's kind of the things that happened, seeing the scene at the time, and then kind of what the aftermath was, because the aftermath is pretty disgusting, the way they handled things. Well, certain people handled things. So I think this is Nick Sorter. Nope. That's the wrong one. What I will say is perfect advertisement for the Trump ballroom.
yeah.
Oh,
and-
it was at the ballroom?
no, but
No.
so in his
If it
speech
was at the
afterward-
ballroom, we wouldn't have had this
Oh,
problem.
no, that's right. This was at a hotel.
Right. This is at a
Yeah.
hotel. And I just, can I make this point quickly? I know you're going through a timeline, but just
Yeah.
to nip it in the bud now, I've seen a ton of people, because Ashley St. Clair, that grifter, did some video apparently where she's like, look at all the MAGA influencers talking about how if we had had a ballroom, this couldn't have happened. You know, they're all in on some group chat where they're paid to say the same thing or whatever. Has anybody considered that people are talking about the ballroom because Trump did in his speech right after the shooting attempt? He said
Yeah.
in his speech last night, if we
Because
had a
you
ballroom,
can secure that.
I could have secured it, and here's all the safety features of the ballroom, and this is why I'm making the ballroom for future presidents too, because it'll have this and this and this. So that's
Well,
why
this
people are
is a-
talking about it.
It's a perfect time to bring this in, Carrie. So what happened was this dude was staying at the hotel. He traveled from California to DC, stayed in the hotel, maybe didn't bring a gun because he's coming from California. It's a shotgun.
Well, he assembled it. Apparently, he
in a side
assembled it.
room where basically, all the help works and does stuff. So basically an abandoned room because there was nobody in there. They were all out serving and doing stuff. So, but somehow he got missed in the sweep of clearing out the hotel of guests and everything else, because you still, on a night like this, you're going to sweep the hotel.
Yeah, but
he wasn't found then.
People are still going to be like in the lobby. I think this is on a separate floor though, right? Because like people, obviously this is an active hotel. People are staying in there, but they're not going to be allowed to go to certain areas.
Right. But the lobby he was in was just outside of the ballroom.
Right. And he was there to be a ventriloquist, you said? Or entertainment?
No, the guy on the stage during the shooting is an illusionist. Because an illusionist.
Gotcha.
Original, in the chaos of the original few minutes of this, was how was somebody, when it was announced that somebody tried to assassinate Trump, people thought the illusionist who was up there on the stage, like right next to Trump,
gotcha,
was the issue. And it was like, no, he was part of the entertainment, because there was chaos in the first few minutes on Twitter after it was basically announced that somebody else tried to kill Trump. Shocker, another day. Here's another view, just of how good our Secret Service is. I think they do an excellent job. But from the other video, with the amount of sound, or when we had the sound to when they got to him, was 15 to 20 seconds. I mean, I see them all moving in speed to try to get there, but 20 seconds is a little bit long when there's a shooter.
Well, it depends on how far they have to travel, too.
Wow.
So that's the Secret Service surrounding him. JD Vance is all the way at the right side of the table, or well, on our right. And he's right next to where the safe room is. So they immediately ducked him into the safe room. From what I understand from statements made, is that Trump, they initially surrounded him. He was worried about them getting Melania to safety. They ended up pushing him down as he was trying to, everybody went under the table. Caroline Leavitt's right there, and she's like due any day now. So, she's hiding under the table. Melania goes under the table, and so do almost everybody. They then try to rush Trump out as they're trying to move him. He's 80 years old, so he trips a little, is what it looked like. But his whole thing was he wanted the event to go on after it was cleared up.
He was like, yeah, the show must go on.
Well, he's about to give a speech that is just decimating.
I know. He was going to
all of the press.
But also here's the thing about him. I feel like you got to respect, even if you think you hate him or whatever. So incredibly just based, like man of steel, to stand up and say, I want to do, right after they tried shooting at you, ever since the fight, when he had his ear grazed, and at that,
that was all staged, Keri. You know that.
Oh, yeah, just like this was staged too,
all
man.
Staged. Oh, I see. I saw Matt Walsh's post about that. He was like, so you've chosen to believe that they went and found a Democrat to volunteer to serve life in prison so that they could get public support for a ballroom that they were already building and didn't need support for.
Right.
and they decided
in Butler, which was also staged, somebody was there to take shots and get shot. And there was also a person in the stands behind Trump that gets shot and killed, but it's all a staged event. No problem. We're just going to kill people in the stands. And, he also had volunteered to be shot. It's stupid.
Totally.
And we all saw him turn his head, and it grazed his ear.
Like, here's the thing. I don't believe, and the funny thing is, when you don't get on board with every crazy thing these people online believe, then they're like, oh, I guess you think the government never lied. I'm like, dude, I didn't get the jab. Did you? Half of them did. Half of these people saying this stuff got the jab. I didn't get the jab. don't think Kennedy, they gave us the full story on what happened to Kennedy. I believe a lot of things that leftists would call conspiracy theories, but it's just as stupid to believe every single conspiracy theory with no evidence as it is to believe none of them.
Especially ones like this where you can see how much the fires have been stoked to take him out.
Yeah.
Yes.
This might be a good time to bring up the manifesto.
I was going to say, bring up the manifesto. I really want to see this. And the funny thing is, I've been seeing some of the cope on Twitter basically saying he was a conservative, he was a Republican, and it's like, yeah.
Comix,
they're still trying to
the dude
some of that
flat
last
spells
night.
it out.
They are still trying to claim everybody who tried to assassinate Trump it was on the right.
Yes, it's so dumb. And this is the point I was trying to, this guy last night, I was trying to make this point last night to leftists because it just, I couldn't believe it.
I stopped wasting my time with these people. I really have.
But they simultaneously, like they will wear, outside of the event last night, there were leftists with signs that said, kill them all. Okay, so they will, this is normal.
Piker talks about how he wants to kill certain people too. I mean, it is very much, the funny thing about it is they want to blame all this violence on the right, but most of the violent rhetoric you're hearing is coming from the left. I mean, especially Hassan Piker and his group saying it's okay to basically kill a CEO of a healthcare company and all this stuff. Right. And he basically
said we deserve 9/11.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that. But he also said that somebody else needed to be shot too, and I don't remember.
Well, he also said you've got to modernize. Don't wear suicide vests. Turn drones into bombs and kill people that way. That way you can keep going instead of killing yourself in the process.
He's so all of it. But even we just saw Jimmy Kimmel last night makes a joke about murdering the president. They have signs outside the event about murdering the president. All we hear constantly from the left is about murdering the president, stretching all the way back to Kathy Griffin with the decapitated head of the president. They are constantly talking about murdering the president, and then every time they try to murder him, suddenly they're like,
on the right. We got to turn down the temperature.
Both sides have to stop this. I mean, it's a problem on both sides, because half of the Democrats will still claim that the first two assassination attempts were right-wingers. Because
crazy.
They supposedly dug up all this information on them that said, no, they were voting in the elections as a Republican. And it's like,
yeah, Thomas Crow gave money to Act Blue. Like they don't, Charlie Kirk's the guy that
but it's the first narrative that gets out is the one that sticks.
I'm sorry, I get so mad. One last thing, Jimmy Kimmel tried to do this with Charlie Kirk's assassin. He tried to say that was MAGA, and it's like, dude, you are literally here making jokes about how somebody should kill the president, and then when it happens again, you guys go, "Wow, how could this have happened?"
No, I don't understand what's going on. Maybe we should turn down the temperature, Republicans.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And they celebrate it. They make jokes that they celebrate it. And then here, the reason I'm so frustrated is I just have a question for you before you read the manifesto, and I do want to read it. But to me, it seems that celebrating these murders, like the murder of Charlie Kirk, like we saw all of the left doing. We saw doctors, nurses, teachers celebrating it, like typical leftists celebrating it. Celebrating these murders and these assassination attempts like they do indicates that they have no shame whatsoever. There's no morality there. There's no moral compass, right? But then trying to distance the left from it and say, well, it wasn't a leftist, indicates that there is a modicum of shame left, that where they know it's a bad thing. So what is it? What's happening there? They have no shame, they celebrate it, but they also want to distance themselves from responsibility for it.
Well, look at who their saints are. George Floyd, Luigi Mangione.
Yep.
I mean, they do celebrate it. They just, in public, they will say, nope, I'm supposed to act like I'm not excited about it, even though half of their posts are excited about it before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, like Charlie, I mean, we've shown the montage plenty of times of them being excited after it happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, still on the left, you do have some reasonable people. I don't think they're leftists. I think they are normal Democrats.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what they are.
The progressive left is insane.
Yeah. Well, I think that the biggest thing now is I think a lot of, we've kind of said this before. If you want to see what the Democratic voting base is, just go to a pride parade. You know, go do something like that, or go to an Antifa rally. I mean, that's basically, I mean, there's people I've known for years, since like the 90s. And after Charlie Kirk was killed, I was like, I happened to be doing some work for them. I was like, hey, you know, it's like things are getting kind of crazy. It's like, if you haven't been prepping, maybe you should prep. And we're kind of talking about it. And she's like, in so many words, she's like, yeah, I think he kind of deserved it. I'm like, what? I was like, what? It's like, yeah.
They will say he deserved
for having
it,
discourse.
and it should happen, and but then say,
okay, I think the bigger issue is that a lot of these people are ignorant, right? They just hear what the mainstream media says. They don't actually listen to what the guy actually says.
Yeah,
they
he
just
was a
repeat
racist
the talking
and a
points.
bigot.
Yeah, he was a
So
racist and a
he
bigot.
deserved
so,
to die.
Yeah.
yeah.
He kind of had it
But I
coming.
mean, it's like the show Dexter. Dude's a sociopath, but he knows what he's supposed to say in public to stay hidden. The problem is, up until it happens, for the most part, they're perfectly fine announcing what they want to happen, but they're sociopaths to the point that when it does happen, they will try to be like, oh, well, I didn't actually want that, even though I called for it 100 times.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And then you've got your true psychopaths that are out there celebrating it. And then you've just got the brainwashed morons.
No, I think that the issue, Brahma, is that throughout your entire life, when you hear the other side is evil and needs to be stopped, eventually it gets to the point where it gets normalized within yourself that the other side deserves to die.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Because going back to the whole Nazi thing, nobody likes the Nazis, like the actual Nazis. The actual Nazis did some horrible shit. The problem is they want to stop the next Hitler. Well, the problem is in your day, you're not going to know who the next fucking Hitler is going to be. So if you're constantly looking for someone,
next Hitler is who we sided with against Hitler.
Yeah.
Stalin was far worse than Hitler.
Yeah. Well, that's beside
they don't
the point.
recognize the other Hitler.
No,
because
they don't. But the issue is that
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
We focused so much on demonizing the Nazis, rightfully so, and not the communists, because they did some bad shit too. There is this myth in our modern society that the left are the good guys and nothing bad comes from the left. And obviously communism is a pretty good example of that. And we talked about horseshoe theory and whatnot. But the issue is the Nazis, even the neo-Nazis, were a fucking joke in the 90s. They didn't have any institutional power. We made them a joke. And talk about the whole thing, dovetailing back to the SPLC real quick. They basically created the very problem that they have been fighting against because, again, money, right? It's one of the things I'm kind of repeating myself on. And that's the reason why you're seeing like this rise in racism. You're seeing a rise in the younger generation because of the political correctness. They're been creating the very problem that they've been trying to combat, but they really don't want it to end because they want to continue to grift off of it.
Yes. They want it to exist, and because it justifies them existing, and
But
that's why, and it is
It
growing.
also pays them to exist.
Yeah, but the demonization only leads to one thing, right? Dehumanization. What comes after dehumanization? Well, it's okay to kill them. It's like what we've seen with people. There's like a former Antifa guy talking about. It's like they call you racist and Nazi, not because they think you are. They say it so they can kill you.
So they can justify your killing. And I've spewed a lot of stuff about the Muslims and Islam and how I don't think they should be in the country. I'm not calling for them to be killed on the street. I'm calling for them to not be in our freaking country because they are not compatible with our country. They are not compatible with the West. Stop letting them in. They can stay in their portion of the world that they control at the moment, and they can do their things over there. They don't assimilate, and when they do, it is probably to take over. But it is not calling for the killing of.
Yeah.
So let's read this real quick. I'm not going to blow it up because I can't blow it up big enough for anybody to be able to read it on the screen anyway. So I'm going to read it out loud.
Fair enough.
It says, "Hello, everybody!" Exclamation point. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everybody whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted. I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency. By the time anyone reads this, I probably most certainly do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that self-inflicted status. Not a self-inflicted status.
Well, sure.
I apologize to all the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage. Everything you've ever heard from any of the leftists and media, Hassan, all of them. I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. Well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing a long time ago, but this is my first real opportunity I've had to do something about it. While I'm discussing this, I'll go over my expected rules of engagement. Probably in a terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad.
Oh, Jesus
Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are the targets, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. So Trump on down. Minus Kash Patel.
Minus Kash
Yeah,
Patel?
apparently we did freeze because everybody's saying now we're back.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Yeah, he says not including Mr. Patel.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's Indian?
I would assume so.
Probably.
I don't know.
Seriously, that's how these woke people think.
He's a person of color.
He's a POC. Even though he's an evil person, I'm going to leave him alone.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know when the stream stalled out, so I don't know where we were. But next, Secret Service. They are targets only if necessary and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible. AKA, I hope they're wearing body armor because center mass with shotguns messes people up who aren't. Hotel security, not targets if at all possible, AKA unless they shoot at me. Yes. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. National Guard, same as hotel security. Hotel employees, not targets at all. Guests, not targets at all. So when Wolf Blitzer is, talking last night about, well, I was right next to him when he entered, and, all I could think was, is he trying to kill me? When you're at an event with the president and somebody walks in with the gun and you're thinking that Wolf Blitzer is the target? What the hell?
Main character syndrome.
Yeah.
No, I'm okay. I'm not going to hit him too hard
I get
on
that you would think that you might get killed.
Yeah.
But to think that he's there for you is a ridiculous thought.
However,
go ahead.
Well, like Comix said, I wouldn't hit him too hard because a lot of these guys, you never know who's got stalkers, who doesn't, who's got you never know what anybody's going through, especially like Erica Kirk, for example. People were talking about the trauma you just lost your husband to an assassin like 6 months ago, and then you're hearing gunfire, and there's a crazy person on the internet who's convincing people that you're a groomer and that you had your husband killed, and any of those people, who knows what they're going through. So I get it. I get being in that moment and your brain just going, is it for me?
I get it, but to then go directly on TV and say, I think it was about me. It's like,
did he do that?
Oh, did he do that?
Yes, that was the interview he gave.
Wow.
He was basically saying, well, is he here to kill me? And it's like, he could have been, but more likely, who's going to sacrifice themselves to kill Wolf Blitzer with the Secret Service there? It'd be a hell of a lot easier any place else other than the White House Correspondents' Dinner to get just a journalist. You know what I mean? It's just, I get that in crazy situations, weird things flash through your head, but then to also then throw that out there on the air is kind of weird too to me, but it's not that big a deal. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs. There's less penetration through walls.
Fucking retarded if you're trying to kill somebody and you're not using slugs. I'm sorry.
He's a
That's
leftist. He's a
dumb.
leftist. He's got see, in his mind, this is just like the left in general. He thinks he's a hero and he thinks he's a good person.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
he's a murderer.
down.
He's a wannabe murderer who thinks he's a good person. And so he has to illustrate in his letter, look what a good person I am. I used buckshot because I care about the other people there.
Well,
who
I
might
mean,
be
a
dead.
close
What a
range
liar.
buckshot can be pretty bad, but a slug does a fuckload more damage.
But that's what he's saying. There's less penetration through the walls, so I'm not going to endanger the innocents.
Because I'm a good guy.
That's his
Well,
whole.
I mean, you could survive a shotgun shot. Okay. I mean, it's like that one guy that Dick Cheney shot in the face and he was fine. I'm not sure what gauge of shotgun.
Well, it was
he
loaded for
using.
quail, wasn't
Yeah.
it? I mean,
Yeah.
you're probably not using heavy duty to take out a quail. You
I
kind
mean,
of
but yeah, if you're pointing a shotgun like 3 feet away from someone's face, I mean, yeah, they're gonna die. From range, it's a little bit different. But yeah, it's first off, why the fuck are you using a shotgun?
Probably because that's what he had available, would be my guess. Remember,
Yeah,
it's a
probably.
Californian traveling to DC. So either he had the gun and took it with him, which is why he's apologizing to all the people who handled his luggage, or he got to DC and that's what he could get his hands on, because DC isn't known for guns either. The point being, if you want to get a gun, you got to get a gun.
He also had a handgun. He had knives, a handgun.
I don't want to give people ideas, but there are ways you could have gotten a better weapon.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
lived in California. I had an AR. I mean, it's not that you can't get anyway. I think he could have. I think it's most likely that he took them from wherever he was at. Why a shotgun? We know why. He just told us. He's such a good person. He has to use buckshot.
And he probably doesn't
Yeah,
understand
so he-
guns
so
other
he
than he
wouldn't use
thinks
an
if you
AR.
point it at somebody and pull the trigger, it's going to do the thing.
They're going to evaporate. They're going to just turn into a blood
Because
mist.
most people have shotguns for home defense and hunting, not
Right.
for going on a killing spree. So last paragraph, I would still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people
there goes
chose
that
to
good guy status he had. You know what? If I had to kill every one of you motherfuckers to get to this guy, I would do it.
on the basis that most people chose to attend a speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor and are thus complicit. But I really hope it doesn't come to that.
Wow.
So that's his manifesto.
Wait, there's more. Did you read the rest?
I didn't get more pages. This is what I got from
Oh,
Daily
okay.
Wire and 9/11.
Do you want me to read the rest?
Sure,
Go
if you've
for it.
got
I'll
more.
read it quickly. So he goes through a list of objections. So first he lays out, like you just read, all of who the targets are and who they're not, and what a good guy he is. Then he goes
Okay.
rebuttals to objections. Objection number 1: as a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Rebuttal: turning the other cheek is for when you yourself are oppressed. I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. I'm not the fisherman executed without trial. I'm not a school kid blown up, or a child starved, or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. Turning the other cheek when someone else is oppressed is not Christian behavior. It is complicity in the oppressor's crimes. Objection number 2.
Wow.
This is not a convenient time for you to do this. Rebuttal: I need whoever thinks this way to take a couple of minutes and realize that the world isn't about them.
Oh my God, he is what to fucking talk.
Exactly. The world isn't about you, dude. He goes, do you think that when I see someone raped or murdered or abused, that I should walk on by because it would be inconvenient for people who aren't the victim? This was the best timing and chance of success I could come up with. Objection number 3: you didn't get them all. Rebuttal: gotta start somewhere. Objection 4: as a
Fucking
half
psychos.
He's a total psycho. Objection 4: as a half black, half white person, you shouldn't be the one doing this. Rebuttal: I don't see anyone else picking up the slack.
I've
Objection
seen at
number
least 2 other people.
yeah. Also, that part is super woke. That
It is.
he's imagining that woke people are gonna say, you're half white, like you're an oppressor. You
It's
shouldn't
not your
be the
place
one.
to
It's not your
sacrifice
place.
yourself. You're
Like you-
you're part black, so it's not your place to sacrifice. A white person should be doing it.
Yep.
Right.
Your life is more important
Exactly.
than any white person's.
Right. You're half black. You're half oppressed, dude. Okay.
People are fucking stupid.
Objection number 5. Yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Rebuttal. The United States of America are ruled by the law, not by any one or several people. Insofar as representatives and judges do not follow the law, no one is required to yield them anything so unlawfully ordered. I would also like to extend my appreciation. Okay, now he's moving on to the last part. This is where he thanks everyone, like he's accepting an Academy Award. I would also like to extend my appreciation to a great many people, since I will not be likely to be able to talk with them again unless the Secret Service is astoundingly incompetent. Thank you to my family, both personal and church, for your love over these 31 years. Thank you to my friends for your companionship over many years. Thank you to my colleagues over many jobs for your positivity and professionalism. Thank you to my students for your enthusiasm and love of learning. Thank you to the many acquaintances I've met in person and online for short interactions and long-term relationships for your perspectives and inspiration. Thank you all for everything. Sincerely, Cole, Cold Force, Friendly Federal Assassin, Allen. That was the name he gave himself. Cold Force Friendly Federal Assassin.
He sure as fuck didn't live up to that now, did he?
No.
No.
And
And the
then he
reason
goes-
it's come out this quick is because he emailed it to all of his family and friends right before
10
it
minutes
took
before.
place.
Well,
And this is
here-
the
Which
here's
they
the thing.
immediately
He's going to
contacted
make somebody
authorities.
named Bubba in prison very happy.
Yes. So he wrote a little PS.
No, he won't.
He
He's
said-
going to be in Supermax in Colorado, and you do not get to see anybody ever.
Yep.
They keep them completely separated. There is no time in the yard. You're in a locked room the rest of your life.
Oh, that's
That
too
is it.
bad. That's too bad. Alan Scott says main character syndrome. Yeah, that's what I said too.
Yeah.
Totally
It's
main
exactly
character.
what it is.
So then the last part is a PS, and this is him right before he does this, talking about the lax security. He goes, PS, okay, now that all the sappy stuff is done, what the hell is the Secret Service doing? Sorry, gonna rant a bit here and drop the formal tone. Like I expected, security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel. Like I expected security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel rooms,
fucking
armed
hotel.
agents every 10 feet, metal detectors out the wazoo. What I got, who knows, maybe they're pranking me, is nothing. No damn security, not in transport, not in the hotel, not in the event. Like, the one thing that I immediately noticed walking into the hotel is the sense of arrogance. I walk in with multiple weapons and not a single person there considers the possibility that I could be a threat. The security at the event is all outside, focused on protesters and current arrivals, because apparently no one thought about what happens if someone checks in the day before. Like, this level of incompetence is insane, and I very sincerely hope it's corrected by the time this country gets actually competent leadership again. Like, if I was an Iranian agent instead of an American citizen, I could have brought a damn Medusa in here and no one would have noticed shit. Actually insane. Oh, and if anyone is curious is how doing something like this feels, it's awful. I want to throw up. I want to cry for all the things I wanted to do and never will, for all the people whose trust this betrays. I experience rage thinking about everything this administration has done. I can't really recommend it. Stay in school, kids. That's the end.
Well, one thing I thought was pretty interesting because I watched Actual Justice Warriors comments on this, basically saying that a lot of these events, because it's an actual hotel and it's an event taking place at a hotel, most of the security is going to be on the floor where the event is taking place, because obviously they're
Which
not
is
gonna,
exactly what happened. He's
Yeah.
dead wrong on the Secret Service being idiots,
Incompetent, yeah.
because what happened was he got to where they were scanning for weapons and he tried to sprint through, and everybody drew on him within a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's how he got caught. He assumed all the security was outside. The Secret Service was right there in the lobby outside the ballroom
Mm-hmm.
where it was taking place, and they had scanners right there.
Yep.
And he tried to sprint
He
through it.
sprint
There is
through it.
video of it
Yeah.
because he knew he was screwed at that point.
Yeah.
He thought he was being smart because he had, staked out his position on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently not knowing day of security was not going to be, hey, it's just everybody from outside.
Right.
He somehow escaped the sweep through the building. And it sounds like he traveled with the gun and the weapons. But what hotel have you guys ever gone to and checked in where they search your luggage or run you through any kind of
None.
No,
And
no hotel I've ever.
I took
5-star
a bunch.
hotels don't do it.
Yeah.
No.
I went
That
to a
would be
fancy hotel
insane.
in Vegas with a bunch of weapons for SHOT Show one year. They don't check your bags at all. It's kind of crazy.
I can go into the Trump Hotel in Vegas, and there's no security checking your luggage for weapons.
It's
idiotic to say that.
Well, it's not the fucking airport. That's the main thing. And like I said, the security was on the floor, and I forgot that he basically ran through the fucking metal detector. So there's a question
delusional.
about how did no one get hit? I think Brahma mentioned that Secret Service did get hit, but he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Obviously, when you have a crowd full of people, the Secret Service and anyone who's armed isn't going to start shooting willy-nilly.
Right, so you're not going to get into a crossfire everywhere.
This guy probably got tackled
him.
I'm assuming. Yeah,
because you can see him laying on the ground in cuffs. They tackled him. He didn't even get what he wanted to go out as a martyr and get injured.
No,
or killed.
He got nothing, man. What he's going to get is life in a cell, like you pointed out.
This is a supposed genius teaching his students who knows what, because he's talking about how great his students are and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. T-Mac, it's because they probably didn't fire him. Like, as was mentioned, he was tackled. And when you're in a crowded room like that, and again, if you've taken firearms training, you would know this. It's like you need to be very careful of and be mindful of your target, what's behind it. Because if you take a shot and miss and you kill an innocent, that's on you. So it makes a lot more sense that somebody just tackled the guy because it was an event full of people. There was a really interesting event that took place at a mall where a guy, like really fucking far away, took a shot at an active shooter and took the guy out.
Right, and it was a gun-free zone, and he got in trouble.
No, they were not shooting at him. They were not shooting at him.
What's that?
He says, I thought they were shooting at him in the video. No, I think that was him shooting.
No, I think that's him shooting, trying to bust through the line of agents because they all drew and were surrounding him the second he tried to sprint through. Because, I mean, you see the guys in the video, you see the guys that are right there at the security station. But you've got to imagine there's probably a whole wall of Secret Service at the door to actually go into the event.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody tried to
something like this from happening.
Yeah, if you're going to try to bum rush the security station, you're going to have your wall of security to the entrance to the actual event where nobody can actually get through Secret Service. So I think Secret Service performed essentially perfectly here.
Yeah.
Other than not finding the gun in the hotel beforehand, but again, it's
how are
just
they
like the
going to find
shooting.
That? Yeah.
Who is going to be searching for guns in people's luggage at a hotel? The problem is the hotel, and Trump is dead right on the ballroom is an answer to this. It's not a ballroom for dancing and a whole bunch of BS. It's a ballroom where world leaders and people, even the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which this is the first one Trump ever attended in my memory as a president. The last one I believe he attended was the one where Obama called him out and said, "You're never going to be the president."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Boy, was he wrong.
This was supposedly the olive branch being offered by the media to get him to stop attacking them constantly.
I think they should.
Which is neither here nor there on this. He was going to tear them a new one tonight. And he says they're rescheduling within 30 days.
Oh, good. So I sent you a picture. If you can put it up, I want to show you something. This is the shooter's family. And he's standing there next to his mom. And that woman, I think this is probably a white woman problem as far as like what happened to this guy. I'm not saying it's not his fault. He's responsible for his own actions.
Hey, said it, not us.
But when I look at this photo, I spot a Karen, a potential Karen. That's all I'm going to say. I'm done.
I mean, we don't know, right? We don't know who his family is. I mean, I mean, he's from California. I mean, obviously not all Californians are bad. I'm California too, but you know,
I mean, my kids have said.
I moved out when I was very young, though.
My kids have said some horrible things, but that's not what they were raised to. So, I mean,
yeah.
But yes, in a lefty family in California, can I believe that? Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
We don't know.
Do I believe that she's probably trying to breed out the white race? Probably.
I just see that picture and I immediately think this could have been a nice conservative black family if not for that white woman.
Well, yeah, the funny, did you see that?
Get that?
I saw some pictures going around, and I guess they tried lightening his skin to make him look more white.
No, I did see somebody make him
like
white
they make Joe Rogan more orange to make him look sick. They've done
stuff like that where they've made, obviously, people who are more melanated, they've listed them as being white whenever they do something bad.
Well, hell, you look at half the crime statistics and everybody who's listed as white as committing horrible crimes. I mean, yes, there are plenty.
Yes.
But they put Mexicans in there. They put Arabs in there. They all qualify as white according to the crime statistics that everybody quotes.
Yep.
So let's catch up on Super Chats real quick. Southern Belle says...
Let me just say one quick thing. I know people in the chat are like, it could black people also could have TDS. I totally know. I was making dark humor.
Oh, yeah.
Failed.
It was a
completely
joke.
failed. Okay.
No, I completely
no,
got it.
You were fine.
We've complained on this show specifically quite often about white liberal women or white leftist women because they are the worst of the offenders.
The awfuls.
The awfuls.
Yep. Southern Belle for $2 says basically it is a way to fund CIA projects. Sean Estep gave us 10 Brahma Bowl memberships. Good to see you, Sean. Let's see. Southern Belle for another $2 says Hilton, where Reagan was attempted to be unalived.
Yeah.
Same hotel.
Yep.
Oh, it's not the same hotel because that happened in California, didn't it? Or was that in D.C.?
No, that was when he was president. I think it was in D.C.
Yeah, okay.
I think it was outside of the hotel.
So it actually was the same hotel then?
That's what Belle's insinuating, and it seems like that would probably be the same hotel that they would be using for events.
Maybe.
Dead Man for $1.99 says illusion, Michael. Some of these we may have gotten too far away from to understand the context anymore. I didn't want to break up the conversation. I try to get the super chats when they come in, but sometimes I can't. Bell for another $2 says after attempt, signs were pushing for unaliving.
Yep.
And then,
that's fucked up, man. And it's what we've been talking about, the whole thing with them going, blah, 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 death to so-and-so. And they're like, oh, what? I really didn't mean it that way.
Well, and
it's too bad they missed, though.
As much as people have said, Tim Pool's kind of lost his mind on some of the stuff after Charlie Kirk. Tim's completely right, and he says the same thing that I say about it, and I think you do as well, Comix. When it's not against the First Amendment to say, hey, we should kill all Nazis.
Right.
And then have the guy next to you say, look, right there is a Nazi.
It's a Nazi.
And that's not a call to violence.
Yeah.
People aren't using common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just because you use two people to make the call to violence does not make it not a call to violence.
Well, yeah, especially if something actually does happen to somebody. That was clearly, a telegraph of what they're doing, what they're trying to hide behind free speech. It's like,
yes.
The only thing that is not protected under free speech is, a direct call to violence. And that's the
And they're
The way
acting
they're
like you can
skirting it.
sidestep it by having two people say it. That's what I'm saying with the manifesto is a direct indictment on all of the media.
It is an
all of the
indictment on the media.
left podcasters, Hassan Piker, Destiny, all of them.
Yeah.
They have all said, you know, everybody says rapists, you know, pedophiles, all those things. Hey, they should be killed. And then you point out and say Donald Trump is a rapist and a pedophile.
Yeah.
They also it's not just. I want to make this clear because there's a difference between saying the legal punishment under the law for an offense that you're convicted of should be this. Like, for example, just today I was
that's
talking about
different. That's completely
exactly,
different.
but sometimes I feel like I have to be clear for leftists because they're so stupid or they're so deceitful, and they will hear something and say, "I just heard you saying that rapists should get the death penalty." Well, yeah. This guy who raped when you rape an animal. There's no he said, she said about it. It's clear the animal's not consenting. Like that there was a story in the news recently where I'm just like, I think it should be life in prison or the death penalty. That's very
or castration.
That's very different than saying, hey, if I call a person a name and they haven't been convicted of that or even
a Nazi or a racist.
Right.
Yeah.
That if I call a person a name, that I should be able to then kill them also. Like that's just insane. Those are two very different things. I know you guys get it. It's
no, and at the same time, I also don't agree with the left's definition of race or rapists are.
Right.
You know, when two completely inebriated people get together, it's automatically the guy raped her.
Well,
on college campuses.
Technically, it's whoever makes the complaint first. Actually,
no, the guy never makes the complaint.
There has been an incident where the guy has made the complaint.
Wow.
Especially because there was an incident where he basically kind of got clued in that she was going to go do it, and he lodged the complaint first, and they used it against her. So
and it's all on college campuses.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things that when suddenly Section 240 started being used against them, they're like, well, that was never the intent of Section 240. Or 230 or whatever the fuck it's called. I think it's 230. Right. But there was an incident. That was really fucking weird. This is like from years ago where a lesbian had I guess, gay student aide, and she basically forced him to have sex with her. And it was really fucking bizarre. This is an actual thing that happened on a college campus. And
those aren't two groups that usually mix in this.
I know, it's so fucking weird, dude. It's so fucking weird. But yeah, I think eventually he got her on Section 230 or Section 9. Section 9?
Section 9. 230 is the social media platform.
Yeah, social media one. I'm being retarded. Don't mind me. Yeah, Section 9.
Fine.
Yeah.
Just clarification.
Yeah.
Last one, Darren M. for $10 Canadian. Bless you, Brahma, Ian, and Keri, and your loved ones. Make the vid, Keri, friendly. Thanks.
Make the video Keri friendly?
Make the video Keri.
Yeah, because we do the, I haven't done any for anybody, but Bell did the first one.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so we will give Bell.
To the bonny lasses watching, we salute you.
What is this?
For super chats, we give what
give a little,
women
give the people what they
women
want.
say that they like,
Title 9.
and what the men say that they
Title
like.
9. Thank you.
Title 9. For the
Thank you,
next one,
Gojira.
we will do AOC.
You want to hear me say something smart for once? The bullpen is awesome.
And for the gifted memberships, we will do.
I don't always watch YouTube for politics, but when I do, it is the bullpen with Brahma Bull and Lil Chad.
And then I think there was one more. So
I have a ton of thanks to give, and it could be all yours.
Stop.
all right, that catches us up on the super chats. Thank you guys very much. It's Much appreciated, especially with Chad not here begging for them.
I know.
So
That last woman reminds me of, she's very pretty. She
that's
reminds me
Bryce
of,
Dallas
It's
Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
what, is that the same actress that was on Mad Men?
No, Christina Hendricks is on Mad Men.
Oh, okay. They look
She
kinda
was in
similar.
Jurassic Park and a few other things. She's Ron Howard's daughter.
Right, okay. They
And
look
Chad
kinda
has some weird obsession with her. So,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, kind of like I justify it by Michelle and Natalie from Force of Light play the Miles Teller clip every time that they get a certain number of memberships. So I reward the chat with some busty nice women, and when it's a woman super chatter, we give them Mel Gibson or Henry Cavill.
I'm going to steal this idea, but you will win videos of my dog.
Of Tiger.
Which I have a friend named Greg who'll be like, "Ew, gross." No, he's a hater.
I mean, I've met Tiger in real life. Tiger's a great dog.
Tiger's
not the
adorable.
most attractive dog.
Tiger's adorable.
I went for a walk today, and some old guy stopped me on a bicycle. He was on a bicycle, this old man, and he stopped to ask me, "Don't take this the wrong way, but what is that? What's the deal with your dog? Like what is that?" He looks weird. Anyway, that happens all the time. People are like, "What is that? He's a weird dog."
My dog actually looks pretty weird. Chug looks weird because he's part Italian Greyhound and Pug. So
What?
yeah,
What a weird mix.
it is.
I mean-
he is a really weird mix.
Don't take this wrong, Carrie, but the first time I saw Tiger, it kind of reminded me of the dog from Deadpool and Wolverine that, he's making out with the tongue all the time.
I don't
Tiger's not nearly that bad. It's just, I was just,
It's so funny. He's ugly cute. He's the cutest dog.
yeah,
Anyway.
I like Tiger. I met him in person.
We got to see pictures of
I
the
did
dog.
not let him introduce. I did not introduce him to my dogs because I thought my dogs would probably eat him.
Yeah,
But
Right. That's right. I remember you guys were like, "Oh no, let's
we
not do
stayed in the
that."
garage where the studio is, and I felt rude, but it was like, no, I've got a pit bull and a mutt mix and a schnauzer, and even the schnauzer would go all at him because the schnauzer thinks he's bigger than the pit bull. So
Well, then we sat outside for a while with you and your wife. Remember? We did go
Yeah,
out back.
and then we went
the
out to eat.
We left the dogs. We didn't. Yeah, they did not meet.
Probably
it was
for the
probably
best.
for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so this. Can I say something? Oh, you're still doing super chat. Sorry.
Oh, we just got a new one. So Bell says H. Jeffries giant poster with a pencil.
Giant poster with.
Hakeem Jeffries giant poster with a pencil. I'm not sure. I know it's Hakeem Jeffries. I'm not sure what the with a pencil is.
I think is she suggesting some AI you should do as a thank you to donors?
I don't think so. But for
Kitty donated again.
that's Copy Kitty's specific one because she's the biggest owner on the channel, so she got her own. Henry Cavill made one, but I only have a couple for females, so sorry, Bill. So, yeah, I think we're caught up. Do we want to go over anything else? I mean, I think we kind of covered the. I mean, well, actually, no. There were a couple clips that I wanted to show of the aftermath because there's Don Lemon, and then there is an ER nurse who is an anti-ICE organizer who is basically saying, nope, everybody deserves it. He deserves it. Hope we get him, and hope he gets. Here's the GoFundMe for this new shooter,
Oh my
and
God.
hope we get up to millions, just like we did for Luigi, because
Jesus.
these are our heroes.
Who said
So
this?
let me play a couple
Yeah.
of these real
ER
quick, and then
nurse,
we'll
apparently.
comment on them, and then get out of here because these people are idiots.
Yeah, they are.
All right, so this is Vincent Hawkins, an ER nurse and anti-ICE organizer. So we'll plug this one in because I did want to get a little bit of the aftermath of what was going on, because just showing the left still doesn't get it.
Vincent Hawkins.
So there's really nothing to see. There's the picture of him, but I'm not going to full screen it because it's just audio for the most part.
So a school teacher in California is the one that took a shot at Donald there. We'll have that school teacher's legal GoFundMe account here soon. I'm sure it'll hit 10 million and we'll get Luigi's team on it.
Wow.
Wow.
31-year-old school teacher. I'm going to guess that he had students that were affected personally by the atrocities committed underneath that piece of shit.
The camera will pan, but this is an anti-ice rally.
That there would be an anger build in this country to the level that people every couple months
Such a roaring turnout.
using that fat orange bastard as target practice should not come to any surprise. When you treat other people as disposable, the world will see your fucking life as disposable. That is the natural consequence. And if you smell bird shit right now, that's them birdies coming home to roost.
You know, Obama's pastor's favorite terms.
Tick-tock, bitches. Your time is coming up.
Somebody needs to arrest this guy. Like, I feel like he's like.
Oh, the tweet that pointed it out about this guy was flagged to the FBI, Kash Patel, Secret Service, everybody. So they've been made aware.
We saw this after they murdered Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
There's a surprising number. It shouldn't be surprising, but it still is. A surprising number of psychopaths, of sociopaths who go into the healing, the helping professions, teaching. This attempted assassin was a teacher. This guy who's celebrating it is a nurse. There's a lot of psychopaths and sociopaths who go into nursing, teaching, the clergy, things like this. And there's something to that. I think it's because it's such a good camouflage. It's like, I'm a helpful. It's like the way Keith Olbermann tweets a lot of stuff about like, hey, adopt this dog, and then he's like, die, Trump, die. But somebody adopt this dog. You know, it's camouflage. I'm a helping person. You know.
Yep. I cannot remember the name of this guy, but this is directly in the aftermath after everybody's been released. He is a Never Trumper who is in one of the foundations that is, you know, one of the Never Trump foundations. So Republican in name, that like 1619 Project, but I don't think that's the one he's the co-founder of. It may be, but these were his immediate takes after this. So after the assassination attempt, we're all going to the after parties for the actual event, because they didn't cancel those because, well, nobody's dead. We didn't have the event, but we're going to have the after parties and still go get drunk. Right? So here's this guy.
Don't we have is there a rhetoric problem? I mean, it's the third time you're trying to kill the president.
I think that there's one person beyond and above all others who's responsible for poisoning the rhetoric in America. That guy's name is Donald Trump.
You're saying it's the president's fault that people keep trying to kill him?
Yeah.
The person who poisoned all the rhetoric in America is Donald Trump. He brought it upon himself.
Crazy.
Wow.
I mean, if I was to name anybody who poisoned the rhetoric in this country, it'd probably be Barack Obama, who did the worst thing to race relations in this country's history for the last 50, 60 years at least.
Yeah, sadly.
You know, Donald Trump ending wars, trying to set us up for 50 years of prosperity, you know, doing everything he can to try to set America on a course that we might actually survive what's coming. But no, worst rhetoric ever. And supposedly a Republican.
I mean, why take responsibility?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
You say, I asked him, like, do we have a rhetoric problem? He said the president president has done more to poison the rhetoric. I mean, the president's supporters are the ones shooting people. People keep, but they keep shooting him. It's not the other way around.
Federal agent shot 2 American citizens. They were called domestic terrorists.
Oh my God.
These 2 things have
Right.
no connection. He's an insurrectionist, the foremost domestic enemy of the Constitution and American history. He is a vile and disgusting man, a convicted sex predator, and likely a pedophile.
What?
And tragically,
Same exact thing as in the manifesto.
Yep. Well, okay, so my question is, again, where are they getting this from? Okay, where are they getting from that he's
because
a pedophile?
they think Epstein, the Epstein files. They think it's him throughout all of it, even though he cut off all communication and exiled Epstein. It's even indicated in the Epstein files that he was probably the informant that got Epstein arrested in the first place.
He went to see, even CNN had to say, oh, look, we did find Trump in the Epstein files. And it was when he went to the police and reported on him like over a decade ago. Like,
and the other instances of him being in it was a whole bunch of false reports that the FBI literally tracked down and said, no, these were all BS. There was nothing there. It happened years later.
But let's talk about the reality here about leftists. Leftists don't actually care about who's in the Epstein file. They never cared about Epstein when Biden was in office. They didn't care. They never talked about it. They never tweeted about it. Only we cared. They did not care at all. They didn't care that Biden wouldn't release the Epstein files. They never even asked him to. They made fun of us for caring. The only reason they pretend to care now is because the media has they've put this psyop out there that like, oh, now they've like flipped the issue. They flipped it and said,
Trump won't release it because he's all over the Epstein files. And it's like, no, the reason Trump didn't want it released was because a whole bunch of innocent people are also going to be indicted by the court of public opinion.
Yes, because
I would love to see the actual list, but I don't think a list exists. I still think Epstein had girls trafficked to him. I think there were probably a few others like Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton. But, I mean, I don't think there's a little black book that just listed everybody's names. And I don't think there's a list, even in it's gone through a Republican administration and a Democratic administration, and then back to a Republican administration. If there was anything that was getting at Donald Trump in there, they would have released it. They tried to put the guy in prison for the rest of his life, and they didn't find anything in the Epstein files that could have gotten him. Yeah, and remember, this is prior to Trump, is when Epstein initially got in trouble. And that at that point, they had such a limited warrant that they did not confiscate computers or anything else that might have had stuff on it. And Epstein got that sweetheart deal, which was BS. Yep. He should have been in prison for the rest of his life at that point, but he got a sweetheart deal from the government, which is what makes me think he was a Fed in some way, or just, you know, we made a deal with whoever he probably was working for in whatever country. But I don't think the FBI ever had the evidence because they had the limited scope warrant. And after that, I'm sure Epstein deleted everything that he possibly could. I think the thousands of files that Pam Bondi says that she saw was just his personal child porn collection. Yeah, I don't think any of the blackmail was left. I don't think there was anything for the government to work with after they gave him the sweetheart deal the first time. But I do know that Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. Right. And I do know that he reported him for being inappropriate with his workers from Mar-a-Lago. And those are facts. Those aren't the leftist, you know, crazy theories that Trump is just, you know, pedo all over the place. Sorry, Keri, go. Sorry.
No, I just, you know, I don't actually think that we even have all the stuff on Epstein because they were covering for him for a long time. As you know, he was that first time he was found, brought up on charges in Florida. Like you said, he should have been behind bars forever. He's got friends in powerful places. I'm not even convinced he's dead. Like, I'm just like, speaking of conspiracy theory, oh, Carrie just won't believe any conspiracy. Actually, I've never thought he's dead. I thought that they helped him get out of there, probably. And I don't even think they have all the stuff. But the point being, Trump under pressure, yes. First, he gaslit us once he got in the office. I was also pissed off when he was like, why do you even care about the Epstein files? He was foot dragging. He was gaslighting. I didn't like any of it. But then he put all of this out there, thousands and thousands of files for people to comb through, including, as you mentioned, anytime anybody made an anonymous report, which they would track down these reports and say, well, that was like a lot of the stuff. I've had friends or people I know who say, oh, there's stuff in there about eating babies. I'm like, show me the file. Give me the link. I need to read this part. And then they give it to me. And I'm like, that's an anonymous tip. That's not, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Well, there's a lot of things that were in there where there's a lot of innocent people in those files that was mentioned. There's another YouTuber I know named Dad Saves America. He's in there. Not because he did anything wrong, but somebody shared one of his videos to Epstein.
Yes.
Because he worked for PBS and he did some stuff for PBS. And that video he did for PBS was shared to Epstein. So yes, he's in the Epstein list. Or
yeah,
the
one of the comics I know is in there a couple times because people would say, hey, you should come to this comedy show. And they would forward an email to him. And any comedian who was in that thing, it's like, oh, now they're in the Epstein files. Their name, meaning their name is somewhere in there. But what is it in there? There's a difference between saying leftists. There's a difference between saying this word or name pops up in there and saying this person was communicating with him like Steve Bannon was. That's the most interesting thing crazy thing I've found in there so far. Bannon and Clinton.
Andrew. Those are the ones that I think are probably the ones that would have been on a list if it existed.
Yeah.
My personal belief is that the whole investigation of Epstein was so corrupted that there is nothing that actually points to anybody anymore.
Yeah.
I think it got so jacked up by that first sweetheart deal that there's nothing there. And I think that's when Trump kept saying, what is everybody's deal with this? We've got to get the economy on track. We've got to get all these things going. And you guys keep pestering me with this. Trump is upset because there are bigger things. Yes, there were probably horrible things that happened with Epstein. Will we ever get to the bottom of it? No, because I think he's been briefed on all that. And he's trying to say, I'm trying to run the freaking country, not relitigate something from 15 to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because that's frustrating when you're trying to get an economy back on track and trying to get all these things back to where it needs to be. And then everybody's just like, no, but we want to know about something from, 15 years ago. And he has nothing to do with it outside of he may have gotten the guy freaking arrested. That's got to be frustrating.
I think part of it
I get everybody wanting to know about it because we all wanted there to be a little black book that had everybody who's doing corrupt things.
We wanted people that were doing bad things to children
to finally pay a price,
to pay the fucking price and go to prison.
Yes. Absolutely.
Or get butt raped by Bubba in jail, right? I mean, that's what we want to see, justice for these victims.
Do I think any of that evidence still existed? No.
Probably not. That's, I think, the real issue. And
yes.
I think the problem is when it comes to transparency around this stuff, that's where Trump fucked up.
Yes.
He could have come out and said, unfortunately, because of how long ago and how many administrations this has gone by, most of the damning evidence has been destroyed. I know this is not what you wanted to hear, but this is the reality. And that
was also a Pam Bondi problem.
Yeah. Yes, it was also a Pam Bondi problem. But that, I think, would have gone a lot further with the American people rather than just shut up about the Epstein files. It's fake. Just
well, it might have gone a lot further with the right, but the left still would have said, you're just covering up what you did with Epstein.
Right.
The thing is, Epstein was a billionaire. don't know how he got those billions, but he was rubbing elbows with anybody who was anybody. So yes, there are thousands of famous people that would have been listed in the Epstein files and are listed in the Epstein files.
Well, I mean,
how
things
many of them actually did anything that was, bad?
Yeah.
We can't
they're
prove
trying to use like photos of him, Epstein, as proof that, he was doing stuff with Epstein. It's like Ghislaine Maxwell, as I like to call her, Ghislaine Maxwell, basically photobombed Elon Musk at a party.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and Elon Musk is in the Epstein files saying, no, I don't want to come to your parties.
Yeah. I don't want to go to
your
3 or
4 times there are emails that are, he's like, what do you mean? What are you inviting me to? I thought this was like an investors meeting. No, there will be, there will be entertainment there.
Tantalizing
and Elon was
delights.
basically like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long and short, somebody in the chat was like, I'm tired of Epstein. So am I. That's the reality of it is I really wanted this. We all wanted this. Unfortunately, we're screwed. They're not going to release it. And I don't think it's like you said, I don't think it's because he's choosing not to. He's released what he can. It either doesn't exist or there's some higher level of government that's like, you don't get to put this out there, and some secret back.
Sorry, Don, you don't get to
either the Illuminati exists or it does not exist.
Right. And so either way, it's like what's happened, though, is that the left, who never cared about this, who does not care about the abuse of children, who supports murdering babies in the womb, who supports mutilating little kids, cutting their genitals off, who supports grooming children with sexually inappropriate material in children's libraries, right? Like won't even let you move it to the adult section. They don't care about children. They didn't care about Biden's daughter's journal and diary that came out talking about how she thought her father had taken inappropriate showers with her when she was a kid. They didn't care about his daughter's allegations of potential abuse from her father. They didn't care about anything about having to do with Biden. They didn't care about Clinton having gone to the Epstein Island. They don't care about any of that. And so all of this is fake, and they just found out because them misusing the word Nazi has lost a lot of its damage potential.
Yeah.
Now
racist.
that pedophile is the new one for them. That's all it is. That's all it is. And they use it because it still packs a punch. And the sick thing about the left, and this makes me so angry, is that
they're on board with pedophiles.
But they are. But they also strip those words of meaning. So when there actually is someone who is a Nazi, when there actually is someone who's a pedophile, they have so thoroughly sucked all the meaning out of those words that people don't even care anymore when there is someone who fits those because those words don't mean anything anymore because they're so abused. The left does that. The left offers, aids and abets actual Nazis and pedophiles by misusing the words.
Yeah.
Not just misusing the words, but by judges being like, oh, you raped 6 children? Okay.
Yes.
6 months probation.
That too. But I mean, they
because
actually do it and they do it
You've had a
rhetorically.
bad life. So, the fact that you ruined 6 children's, childhoods and the rest of their lives, we don't care because maybe you're a minority and, we can't put you in a prison because that's against the rules of the left. It's disgusting.
But here, look, Eric says, what if the right actually cared about wielding power the way the left does? Look, we are wielding power. Look at what we just did. You were talking about the SPLC investigation indictments. Finally, I want to see more heads rolling legally in a just manner, being judicious about it. We are not the left. We don't go murder people. We don't threaten to murder people. We do things the right way. We are not like them.
Yeah, I would say that what took place last night, a man running through security, shooting a Secret Service officer and trying to get to the president and every person under him, except for Kash Patel, apparently. I still don't understand that one.
I think
it still has to be the minority thing. But the fact that guy did that is far worse than anything that ever occurred on January 6th.
Yes.
And they still can't admit that.
Yes.
The Weather Underground bombing the Capitol building in the 60s or 70s bombing a wing of the Capitol building, which most people still don't know actually happened.
Yeah.
But far worse than January 6th.
Yeah.
They basically said what this guy is doing is justified, right? Because he's literally stopping Hitler.
Yeah, that's what they say.
That's the justification, right? This goes back to what I was talking about earlier. So that's the issue right there. And obviously because the what happened on the Capitol during January 6th was perpetuated by the other side. Obviously, it's worse than 9/11.
And we're probably going to find out that the SPLC and Antifa were funding half of that, because I think we already know that Antifa was in the crowd, and I think we know the FBI was in the crowd. And I think that we are going to find out that some people that were funded by the SPLC were also in that freaking crowd. And remember, the crowd did not go nuts until they started launching tear gas into the crowd.
Well, and there was that one guy basically who started.
The rest of it was relatively peaceful, with people being escorted into the freaking building.
Mm-hmm.
And also remember, Nancy Pelosi had her daughter there documenting everything with a camera, because she knew something was going on.
Well, okay, and again,
she also is the one in charge of Capitol Police. The Speaker of the House is in charge of the Capitol Police, and she turned everything down and said,
Trump offered,
nope.
Yeah,
he
National
offered
Guard. He offered National Guard. She said no. She wanted something to happen, and she wanted to document it.
Yes.
Yep.
She knew she was fine.
She knew she was
safe. It goes back
NAOC
to
in a building 3 buildings over in the underground tunnels that they all have to escape.
Yep.
Saying that she feared for her life.
Everything is fake and gay.
It is. Everything is fake and gay.
This is exactly the kind of reasoning. Like, okay, again, talking about like believing conspiracy theories or what have you. It has to be logical and it has to be reasonable. And the fact that they were opening doors and bringing the protesters inside, like they opened the door for the shaman.
And people were walking between the freaking velvet ropes.
That they had a documentary crew there, that they said no to the National Guard. Like these are all little bits of information that build a picture where you're like, it is very possible and also maybe probable that they knew, that they were like, we want something to happen.
Yeah.
And they call him an insurrectionist to this day. They did in that was it the clip? Something you played. Yeah. That guy at the party saying Trump brought this on himself, called him an insurrectionist or whatever. He was telling people to go home. He was telling people.
He told them we're going to peacefully march down to the Capitol and protest.
And then he said go home though when they started going.
Yeah, he said go home.
Yeah.
That was about 3 hours later. That was the only thing you can fault him for that day, was he let it go on, and he put out a statement about 3 hours later that said, go home, leave the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
He took a while. That's what you could fault him for, but he did not incite anything.
He did not.
The fact that we all know that election was stolen was what incited it. The thing that has come back to bite them in the ass about this is that he got the next election and he won the popular vote and the electoral vote. And he's much more powerful now than he ever would have been in the second term.
Yeah.
Because we know they stole that election. And
yes, we all feel violated.
Yeah. It was so.
And now he's lame duck and he has nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
He just has to worry about being backstabbed by the freaking Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, we will not lose the Senate in this election, no matter what. It doesn't matter how bad it goes in the next few months. The Senate map is not a map that the Democrats can win. In fact, I've put my money where my mouth is. On Kalshi, I put $250 down on we will retain the Senate. Because right now on Kalshi, it's saying the Democrats are going to take the Senate. The map, there is no freaking chance. And I'm not telling anybody to go bet. I'm just saying, if you look at the map, the number of safe Republican seats versus Democrat Republican seats, says we end up 53 or 54 seats in the next Senate.
So Kalshi's like sports betting, right? But you can bet on politics.
On anything. You
It's
can
like
literally
Poly
bet on
Market.
anything. You can bet on sports on there. You can bet on politics on there. It's a much better gauge than the polls are. But
I've looked at
it's
some of their
still,
stuff.
you've
Yeah,
got to get
the
closer
odds.
to when it's actually happening to see the actual odds. We used Poly Market and Kalshi for the last election, me and Chad. And
Poly Market,
well,
that's
you were
the
there
one.
election night.
Yeah.
Me and Chad nailed it. We had it electoral college down to the number, and we had the number of senators, representatives, everything on election night. Me and Chad nailed everything.
Because you're looking at the betting odds rather than polls.
We're looking at a mix of Rasmussen and the betting odds and our own just common sense looking at what's going on in the country and saying, this is what we think is going to happen, and then trying to predict it. I mean, we're nothing special. We're just regular guys. But, I mean, if you put all the information together, you can see where things are going. I mean, I can see gas is going to be lower in the next few months. It doesn't matter what happens in Iran. Trump has set this up to where the world is going to be buying from us. So you don't have to worry about oil from Iran. Who does need to worry is Russia and China.
Russia.
And Russia is working with us to try to get, everything opened up to have that pipeline again. China's the one that the whole thing comes down to us and China. We're tired of being abused by China. That's why there's the 200% tariffs or whatever we've got there. I mean, they have abused us for years. They take intellectual property. I mean, just to tie it back to the sphere that we're in on YouTube, they pirate every freaking movie that comes out.
Mhm.
I mean, they won't show the movies in the theaters unless it's pro-China in some way. But they're the ones who put out half the piracy. Them and India, who is in direct cahoots with China on almost everything. How many of the pirate sites have the India, sports betting, 1BetX or 3BetX, whatever it is?
Yeah.
That's all over the pirated movies and stuff. China and India do they steal from everybody, and they put it out there to take away from what is the bottom line for the United States. All the way down to entertainment, if you really look at it.
This is pretty crazy. So when I go to Poly Market, and I've looked at this stuff before, it's for politics. It's been a link that somebody shared about something. I've never just gone to the site itself to look at it.
Yeah.
And they have all kinds of, they have specific
they have
things.
everything.
They
Yeah.
have like, what Iranian demands will Trump agree to in April? People are betting on this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one that really killed me was it should have been automatic. And I mean, you could make, if you're as one of the bets like Trump is constantly on what you will say, you could make millions off of it. Because when the Super Bowl happened, everybody was betting that Trump would absolutely mention in that same month, in February, that Trump would mention Kid Rock, Turning Point USA, and the counter Super Bowl.
Why? Because it was a betting thing?
Yes.
Well, what? Okay.
But he never brought it up. He could have made millions for his own followers.
I was gonna say though, how do they stop him from reading it, and how do they stop
don't.
him from betting? What if he bets on something that he's gonna say and then he says it?
Yeah.
Then they have to pay out.
Okay, this is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
So
There's a
all
lot of
he
things
has
on
to
it.
do is watch the market and say, if everybody's betting he's going to say this thing or not, all he has to do is say it. And everybody who bet that he would say it, because you would think he would have brought up, we had a counter Super Bowl halftime show, and it was pro-Trump, but he never brought it up. So all of his supporters did not get paid for it. And all you had to have was Andrew Colvett or Erica Kirk say, hey, say it on a press conference, and we're all funded for the next year.
Isn't that like insider trading or something?
It's a free market.
Okay.
Yeah,
The thing is with the thing with Polymarket specifically is in Polymarket, you're not allowed to bet if you're a U.S. citizen. Kalshi, which is the one I bring up all the time anymore. We used Polymarket during the election because I wasn't aware of Kalshi as much. Kalshi, I can make bets as an American citizen. Polymarket is for basically international, everybody outside of America. So Kalshi is the one that actually takes into account people in the United States putting their money where their mouth is. So also Kalshi, I would really appreciate a sponsorship at some point. We bring you up almost every stream.
It sounds like we have one. I'm kidding. We're like, and let me tell you about Kalshi.
I've got money in there. Like I said, I literally placed a $250 bet that yes, the Republicans will retain the Senate.
Wow.
Because it was like 43.
That's confidence, man.
That's confidence.
Look at the map.
I'm looking at the
Senate map of what is available for the Democrats to try to take away from us. It doesn't matter how bad the country gets right now. They're not going to pull those seats. We will retain the Senate.
Never say
That's
never.
why the Senate is not scared of standing up to Trump right now, because they know they're going to still be in control. All the rhinos in the Senate are still going to just do the same thing the rhinos do.
Okay, we'll have to continue this offline. I want you to explain bets to me.
Okay. I got to get a couple more super chats, and then we will call it a night. There will be no after show tonight, everybody. We went in almost 3 hours, so we're and that's more of a me Chad thing anyway. So Deadman for $4.99 says, great show, guys and gals. Thank you. And
my question is, who's the second gal?
It's Mary.
I'm guessing, yeah. Eric Myers for $2 says, tired of Epstein. Is there an anime chat girl? There is not an anime yet, Eric.
Soon, buddy, soon.
Keri, I've cycled through them, so now you just have to close your eyes.
Why? What's happening? Is there something dirty?
I've got no. They're just AI generated.
Chad loves the Ottoman Empire. Brahma is an Islamophobiast, and Comix is the smartest 5'10" midget ever.
Dirty.
AI. Okay, here's the second one. Close your eyes. I can't be on the Christian panel with you anymore if you.
Thank you so much.
I think the first one was dirtier.
The redhead?
Yeah.
Oh, Keri, you haven't seen the brunette yet.
Yeah, you haven't seen the brunette yet.
The brunette AI did really bad. Here.
All hail the bullpen.
AI understands jiggle physics.
I can't. I'm going to be a Debbie Downer. I can't say anything. I'm helping a student with their senior thesis right now, and it's about beauty standards and stuff. But I went down this rabbit hole and I started reading all these studies and articles about supernormal stimuli and what it does to the brain. It's a subject for another time. But if you want to go down a rabbit hole, look up supernormal stimuli. And
I would think the supernormal stimuli for men is the breast is nature's natural target. It's 3 concentric circles.
It's anything that we have, whether we were either created or evolved to notice for survival, for reproduction, for things like that. And you can see this in animals too. They've done studies with supernormal stimuli where, for example, they will paint baby birds that have larger mouths than the real baby birds, and the mouth is more red, it's more colorful, and it's larger. And the mama birds will seriously try to feed that cardboard fake bird over their own real babies because they're so triggered by like, that mouth is so large and red, like that's like a real super baby. And so anyway, they've done all these studies with animals with different types of supernormal stimuli. And in the human species, there's a lot of different kinds, but one of them is like very outsized, supernormal, like not normal size attributes. Yes.
Breast and hips.
Yes. And like the kind of stuff that Christy Nome's husband's into.
Or are you familiar with what is called the
he's not into
women.
women.
The mother goddess figurines from basically ancient humans?
No.
Yeah, where they're like obese rock figures of women that show
very,
fertility.
very large breasts and very large buttocks. Yeah.
Well, it's because back in the day when you did not
Yes.
have access to food the same way, those who were above everybody else had a diet where if you were obese back in the day, you were living a good life because you actually got food.
But
I mean,
also it's super
who was it? The
stimuli.
Romans?
I see
That
what
it
you're
was
saying.
like the royal disease was gout because that means you were eating and drinking in excess to the point that you got a disease that only affects those who have the richest of foods.
Yep.
Or richest of alcohols.
Yes.
Right. Belle, I'm pretty sure I got all of yours. The last one I saw was Hakeem Jeffries' giant poster with a pencil. And I still don't know what that means. Jim WTX says for $5, another fantastic show, Brahma, Comix, and Keri. Thank you very much. We will give you the last of the clips, and then I think we are going to do outros and get out of here. So this is Chad's favorite clip.
The bullpen thanks you for giving that. I need more.
Actually, that wasn't Chad's favorite. Chad's favorite is where she says his name all dirty and just says my normal. All right, we will continue this conversation another time. Keri, where can we find you this week?
You can find me Deprogram with Keri Smith. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing a show on the radicalization of the left towards murder. Another one.
Yeah.
So how many times this happens?
It's like you can do it weekly.
But Keri, you need to tone down the temperature.
I should be toning down the temperature, right? Yeah.
Also, thank you for the promotion, both in your community post and on Twitter throughout the week, Keri, after we talked about you coming on. I appreciate you putting it out there. So, Comix, what do you got coming up?
Oh, the usual.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Central. Of course, probably not going to be doing a gaming stream. I got to get up really early on Saturday for work. Typically don't work Saturdays, but I have a special thing I'm doing on Saturday. So, yeah, which starts at 7:30 in the morning. I'm usually up by like 9 or 10 on Saturday. So, yeah.
Saturday's the catch-up day.
Yeah, the catch-up on sleep day.
Sleep deprivation from all the shows throughout the week.
Yeah.
Yep. As for me, I will be on Comix Show on Thursday. I will be on... Are we doing a Christian panel this week?
Well, let's
Keri?
do a Christian panel, yes.
Okay, so Wednesday we'll have a Christian panel on Keri's channel. Tuesday I'm on Mad's channel. Friday I'm on Ascendant Art's channel, which is Lil Chad, the co-host's channel when he's here. Saturday is a bourbon and boarding night, so we will be talking the first round of the playoffs of the NHL, which the Avs swept the first round today. So I'm excited. 70 still has a little bit of worry about his Dallas Stars. And then we will be back here next Sunday for the bullpen once again. And I cannot find the closing. So give me just a second because I think Mad hit it. Or I hit it.
Why would Mad hide it?
Or I placed it somewhere else. There it is.
MAD, Matthew Valley Production. I was closing out another one. 3
hours deep, but we're not done. Cover the bills, the votes, the mess. Political theater at its best, I guess. Chat was wild and takes were flying. Politicians out here straight up lying. We broke it down, no filter, no spin. That's how the bullpen's always been. Bullpen's out, we said what we said. No the Lulu takes, spraying truth like lead. Inside precision, facts in the clip. Next round, loading knowledge, we equip the bullpen. Dead ass, the chops on lock, got the flow seared. Mainstream pushing cap, but we see it clear. Into minds cutting straight through the haze. Real spit, no front, ain't playing no games. Lip slipping, tripping on the foolery. We just chop it, call it raw truly. We're fact checking every statement with meticulous precision, while the politicians sleeping through the legislative mission. Corporate media's feeding you a carefully designed revision. We the antidote to all the manufactured television. Bureaucratic nightmare navigating through the slow decay. Congress moving at a pace designed to keep the wolves at bay. Executive decision, Supreme Court rulings on display. We covered every angle, no cap. That's how we play. Legislation passing in the darkness of the midnight hour. Lobbyists manipulating every center of the power. But we're watching every movement from our independent towers, exposing all the corruption while the mainstream media cowers. So we're closing for the week, but the messages consist of real political discourse out the corporate funding for perspectives unified and intellectual resistance. Independent media's the future, we the vanguard. Next stream hitting harder with the content we've been gathering. Bullpen moving forward, independent voices battering the walls of propaganda with the facts that we've been mastering. Bullpen's out, we said what we said. No the Lulu takes, spraying truth like lead. Inside precision, facts in the clip. Next round, loading knowledge, we equip the bullpen. Peace, stay informed, stay skeptic.
Oh, look at that. We're still live.
Oh, we're back on stage.
Yep.
Night, everybody.